but bears repeating. So, I'm here with Ryan Fee.
I am Ryan. Hello, everybody. I'm here with Mike Brady.
Yes, I'm Mike Brady. I'm the VP of Upswing Poker. He's a poker guy, crypto guy. You know, he does a lot of things. Currently, he's trying to avoid blue light. And we're waiting for Daniel to come sit down at these tables. Who do we got in the chat today? We got a minute to do some shout outs. Tunnel Snakes Rule, hello. Hello to you too. Not familiar with tunnel snakes. Appears to be a meme. Skill Stack Kills, what's up, dude? How you doing? J Maverick says Fee's asleep. No, he just looks like he's asleep when he's tweeting. Match should be getting going right at 2:30. Both of the guys have been really good about getting started right at 2:30. Doug's here a little early, so we went live a little early just in case.
How do I?
Tunnel Snakes Rule says, wait, last session was plus 93k for Doug. I thought it was closer. No, yeah, 93k. We shut our stream down early on Monday and then kicked it over to Joe Ingram. So if you were on only our stream, you would have missed the last like handful of hands, and Doug won a few nice sized pots. I think we signed off with him up like under a buy-in, like 30k or something, and then he picked up a little bit more.
We are
live indeed. Let's play.
We got two tables. We got two single raise pots. We got two pretty good boards for Doug so far. Goes with, do you know what this 730, what is this 763 size? Is that 40?
763?
763.
Yeah, it's roughly 40%. I'm not sure exactly.
1800. Yeah.
There was a lot of discussion on the last stream if he's using some sort of like hotkeys or like, I don't know if there's a third-party program that's allowed on WSOP to do the bet sizes, because he's definitely not typing in cents, and they don't have custom buttons, I don't think, so I'm not sure. Daniel Schnapp says, who's the cool dude on the left with the cool shades? That'll be Ryan Fee.
Ryan Fee. What's up, guys? I'm here for the whole card list high stakes poker.
No cards. Doug, first overbet of the session on the right, double barreling for 5k into 3k and gets it through.
So last session was like kind of break even, and then Doug, I was a little bit confused by that, and then Doug picked up a couple nice sized pots right before they called it a sesh.
Yeah, exactly. They ended up playing their first session over 2 hours of the online portion of the challenge. Daniel 3-betting on the left here. First over 2 hour session, they played for about 3.5 hours. At the 2 hour mark, they were like within a buy-in for sure, maybe even within like half a buy-in. And then probably in the last 30 minutes is when Doug won the lion's share of what he won.
That was kind of an interesting session. It didn't look like they didn't like they didn't have big stacks or anything, which was like sort of weirdly different from all of their other sessions. Which was,
it was interesting. It was pretty. It felt kind of like a slow session, but there were actually a lot of big pots. They just sort of like were getting exchanged really, really like symmetrically, so it stayed pretty even.
Ryan, do you regret the 10K bet at 1.1 million? Not really. No, I mean, nothing out of the time. I did it, and then Doug lost 300K. So like in that sense, sure. But I mean, if they keep it close, Daniel might go the full 25,000 hands, in which case I feel really good about my side. So we'll see.
Daniel's 3-bet getting called on the left, and his double barrel getting called on the 10 high board on the turn on the right. Doug checks over to Daniel. 12.5k pot.
Doug probably gets unlucky there that Daniel didn't choose to bluff for one reason or another. And then Doug goes for a very, something that's not going to happen very often, but goes for a very small raise on ace, queen, 8. Granted, Daniel's probably betting everything, but he's doing that for a pretty good reason. That is not the best board for a call 3-bet range. So Doug taking a bit of advantage of that and going for the small raise. And 6K to win 10 takes it down. So hopefully he had nothing. Hopefully that was just like the J9 burger. Where are they at overall in the session right now?
In the challenge, 67 point. Going into the session, 67.6K.
Doug's up.
That's right.
All right, just 1.03 million to go and get Deeb's money.
Turnberg 88. Oh, whoa, Neg has brought this back. Yes, Daniel had a solid little recovery in this challenge. He was down over $250,000. At one point, he was actually up about 100K going into yesterday's session. Was it something like that? Or no, he was only up 26K, my mistake. But either way, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's funny. He's been up like 2.5 buy-ins at most during the challenge. We're all just like, oh my God, dude, have you seen what Negreanu has done? So sick. It's so sick. Just to let you know where like expectations are going this match.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I just still think like Doug is going to drive it home. But we'll see.
That's my read too, but I will say, I know for myself, and I can probably speak for you in saying I think we're a little bit biased.
Yes, like slightly. This is definitely not the like. This is the Doug Polk Power Hour here on the stream. This is definitely not a neutral stream whatsoever.
Someone just said I had my left and rights flipped. You're right, but I have them right now. Sorry about that. On the tables. Fee, make sure the one that Doug has the 53K stack and just open button, make sure that's your right table.
That is my, okay. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All on the same page then. Someone just asked, did they play yesterday? No, they did not. They played on Monday. They're mainly playing just Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's all they've done so far. 2:30 every time. 2:30 p.m. PT.
But
10:30, or it's apparently 22:30 GMT. I was just introduced to the 24-hour cycle, or at least reminded that it existed.
That could be coming to an end now. I feel like that Negreanu pushing the last session, 30 minutes is like a tell, right? He's like, I'm not getting bombed. I'm hanging in there. Like I'll play a little more. Loses 2 buy-ins. Like, okay, maybe it's a little hot in here. Go back to the drawing board. But I guess he maybe wants to push it a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully he does. Because I mean, as fun as this is to sweat these hands and hang out with these lovely people on Twitch and YouTube, I would like this to be over before March of next year. So yeah. Let's play some sessions.
Same. That king. So Negreanu called with 3s on that. On the left table there. Under pair. Yeah, Doug used a small bet size. Although 3s, I don't know. I'm like not sure. It's pretty close. You could probably dump it. This is definitely one of the boards that Doug just goes to town. Maybe not. No, probably on that turn too. With his I guess 150 on the turn and then Jam River, but not that time.
Doug 3-betting and C-betting for about a quarter pot on the left table here. King 8-5, pretty dry board. Not surprised to see the small size.
I actually like that. I'm gonna guess that this is a bet 70 till just like 100% of the time board for Doug. And I thought about it. I actually really like the some of these really, really small bets they use. I think it makes betting everything like a little bit better, because a big part of the reason you're betting everything is like the bottom 30-ish% of hands that have to fold every time it's just really, really frustrating as your opponent's like betting like smaller and smaller stack, and then your hand's just still dust and you have to fold.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn queen.
Sucks to have to fold the small sizes. Yeah, turn queen, Doug puts out the large bet, about 75% pot, 9K into 12, gets called. We have about 66% SPR left on the river, stack to pot ratio, that is.
Doug misses a bunch of draws, makes a couple straights, ships it.
He's all in.
First called. So Negreanu
first all in of the sesh.
King best calls. He's got a king. Oh, Doug has ace jack for
ace jack high. That's gonna win it for Negreanu. Definitely a good call down from him with top pair. Did block some of the straight draws that Doug would be bluffing with, but that doesn't necessarily make it a fold. Top pair is a strong hand, heads up.
It does feel like kind of one of those spots though where a solver might be like, yeah, but ace 8, like, oof, it's too good. So I bet you ace 8 would be better than king 10 there, but I'd probably just call them both.
I think Doug's down about 25K on the session now with that. Something along those lines. Someone asked a few lines up who's been getting luckier in this challenge. It's tough to say without, imported hand histories, as Doug's bet on the turn gets called. 7K pot going into that river on the right. I would say when it comes to card distribution, I said this on the stream on Monday. I think Daniel's running a bit better. He's had some pretty gross coolers. He's had a really strong hand when Doug has had a bluffing hand several times. But when it comes to all in EV, it's unquestionably been Doug. He's running way above all in EV so far.
Did he win more all-ins on Monday?
I think he did win like 1 or 2 all-ins. What was the? I'm having trouble remembering. I'll pull up. We have a spread. We're tracking with a spreadsheet the biggest hands. Oops, sorry about that, dog.
We got, looks like, what is this, 150? Yep, we got about 150% bet from Doug here on the river. I'm actually not 100% sure what the action is. I'm going to guess this is some sort of like, I don't know. So
I saw Doug put in a turn bet. I did miss the flop action.
Let's take a look.
Couldn't have been 3-bet, so I'm gonna guess it was just a double barrel from Doug actually, even though he's probably not going to be double barreling that turn too often.
Yeah, he bet. What did he bet on the turn? Yeah, he bet 2/3 on the turn and then went for it. So I'm gonna guess, 8 boat straight, something like that, or bluff. Honestly, probably bluff. Who are we kidding?
Doug raising small versus Negreanu's small flop bet and a 3-bet pot on the left there. Daniel's calling 4K to win 16K here. So this is a really small raise, getting a great price. You'd expect him to continue pretty often.
Thinking about it, could come over the top too. 12K could look like a good price to potentially steal a hand away from Doug. Number of draws, backdoor draws, Negreanu could have here.
Calls and we get a really dynamic turn, having a second flush draw.
Definitely would anticipate Doug having a couple backdoor flush hands. Negreanu too. He'll bet call some queen 9, ace jack type diamond hands. He checks as you would expect him to do on essentially a brick turn. Over to Doug, 1.5 pots. I wonder what his bet size would be with the number of draws here. Yeah, so my guess would be not a non-all-in size.
Yeah, I don't really know if he's like if his range is so rich in value hands that he could just like jam it in there.
I think it's more about pressuring Negreanu's range here. I think because he's gonna bets his whole range.
Pressure. Bet call off. Doug with the middle pair and a flush draw. That's gonna miss against Negreanu. Speaking of Negreanu running a little better in all-ins there.
Negreanu picks up an all-in. Doug is on board.
Yeah, interesting line from Doug there to see him raise the flop small. I mean, it is a small bet. It's definitely a hand you're very happy to put more money with on the flop with, and then turn, bet to deny some equity. You're obviously happy to get it in if you, maybe not happy, but you're fine to get it in versus a raise.
Yep, of course. Turn bet is kind of interesting just because it does sort of strike you as a spot where all better hands call, worse hands fold, but doesn't. I mean, you could bet check down. Yeah, obviously bet and bet call, and honestly, you do have the best hand there. You could have worse 10. There's a number of draws, especially on the diamond turn, that he might feel forced to call with. I would say conventionally that's a very unusual. You would normally raise a couple eyebrows to look at that hand, but in our randomized solver world, like any play in a vacuum seems okay.
Looks like Daniel's going to win another showdown on the right there, out pipping Doug with the ace.
The action here on the flop.
Kevin Post asks a question that we've been asked probably 400 times. Why would they not delay and show the actual hands? That would be giving away a lot of information. Doug was okay with doing that. He would have been down to show cards. They probably wouldn't have played with webcams or anything, but they would have, I suppose, both streamed it, was sort of what he was suggesting, but Daniel refused, which is pretty damn reasonable. He doesn't want Doug to be able to, watch the streams and pick apart his strategy, which Doug is very experienced in doing. That's something that sort of used to be his bread and butter when he was kind of at the top of the heads up food chain a few years ago. So yeah, no hole cards, but at least we get to see some high stakes action.
Yeah. Yeah, it does kind of suck, but I mean, like in rank order of what people care about, they care about number 1, the big pots, and then like probably like number 2. Probably number 2 would be just like some like big bluff where you would get to see it with the whole cards. And then I would guess number 3 is just kind of seeing the whole action to see kind of like where everything's going. And unfortunately in poker, it's a game of basically pure information. So yeah, the whole cards really do kind of spoil that dynamic, because then everyone looks at all the hands and becomes a lot less interesting.
Definitely.
9-8-7 with 2 hearts. Definitely some interesting things can happen here. Got to think Daniel's going to 3-bet a lot of the really good hands that could connect with this board. Doug goes for the big size, which makes you think he's going to probably be on the polarized side for this bet. He gets raised. And yeah, relatively modest raise. You'd expect Daniel to have some straights, maybe a couple sets, some flush draws, some guttery type straight draws. And he takes it down. All right, we've been. How many people do we have in the chat right now? I can't. Let me see if I can see these numbers.
There's usually a small lag, but 854 on Twitch, about 3K on YouTube.
All right, chat. I want to know what the chats who has like reads on like bet sizes, value frequencies, bluff frequencies. Like, I know you guys are a bunch of wizards. Does anybody have any hot takes on what's going on in this match right now?
Yeah, we would love to hear you guys' opinions on the play so far, especially if you've seen multiple sessions. As you guys are answering that, I'll answer a question here. As Mighty Games asks, who decides when a specific session ends? So they've agreed to play at least 2-hour sessions at that 2-hour mark. So it's going to be at 4:30 Pacific time today. They basically have to either end the session or both players agree to continue playing. So it has to be a unanimous decision to keep playing. Generally speaking, Doug's going to be down to do that. So it's mostly, in effect, it's going to be up to Daniel whether they keep playing. Doug going for the river probe here on the left. He's got the just called. He's got the queen high and got looked up by the ace high there by Daniel. Nice call from Daniel.
Interesting probe by Doug. Let's take a look. His call. Daniel goes for his flop min bet, and then Doug sort of oddly turns queen high into a bluff here. That's a little bit striking to me. What do you think about that?
I was a little bit surprised too. I mean, he obviously has the lower flush draws to bluff with. I don't really know how many floats he has that are like jack high and below. Probably not too many, so I think it does make some sense. It is always a little weird when you're trying to get someone to fold. Just sort of thinking about it as basic as possible. By betting queen high, you're trying to get someone to fold ace high essentially, maybe a better queen high. And on that particular board, it's not really a board you'd expect ace high to certainly not snap fold. They're at least going to consider it. So it is a little weird to see queen high putting in a bet. Doug going with the small lead on this turn. Is that what happened, or did you check raise flop? I'd probably check raise, actually, my mistake.
I guess
had to be check raise, yeah. And then he bets small. We got the double board paired river.
Hands are getting weird here.
Now he's going over bet 150%. As Daniel wins a nice little pot on the right with pocket tens versus Doug's rivered pair. Doug's bet on the left gets through to win a 6K pot.
I wonder if that was a 5. Let's take a look at this one. The only thing I would say about the King 6-6 was, I think the 7. It does seem a little weird. I do think Doug will have a couple jack highs, maybe even 10 high. Oh, Doug check called a big bet and then led and then over bet.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. So Daniel went 1,500 into 2K on that 5-3-2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
One thing I would say is like maybe the 7. He thinks a lot of his unpaired makes a pair on the 7, so he wants to bluff a couple extra hands. He thinks ace high is actually a lot tougher spot than Daniel thinks, but hard to say. The thing is he's getting 6-1 on the flop versus that min bet. So potato.
Check down pot on the left here. Daniel's gonna win with top pair. That's a small pot for top pair, but
very small pot for top pair.
Yeah, it's not really a strong enough hand to check raise the river with, so you would definitely expect that one to put in a bet.
10 suited. He didn't 3-bet. Is this hand suited? Do I see this correctly?
Those are both green.
Those are both clubs.
Yeah. The Cox just pops in and asks, what did I miss? Not too much so far. There was really one super notable pot. Daniel 3-bet pre-flop with King Queen offsuit. Doug called with Jack 10 of hearts. The flop came King 10 on a low card with 2 hearts. Daniel c-bet small. Doug raised with his pair and flush draw. Daniel called with his top pair. The turn was a 2 of diamonds, adding a second flush draw. and it checked to Doug, who bet one more time. Daniel shoved all in with his top pair. Doug called with his pair and flush draw and missed. So Daniel won that large pot. That was the biggest one of the session so far, about 90K or so, maybe 80.
Yeah, I think it was slightly less than 90. There was also the hand where Doug 3-bet ace jack, flop king high, and he barreled off with the draw. Daniel just happened to call down with top pair. You still have faith in your $5,000 bet. It became a $10,000 bet, and at the moment it doesn't look good. But how many hands in are we now?
Went into the session 24, about 2,400. Yeah.
Mike. Uh-oh. Rip. Oh wait. Sorry, I can hear you now. My bad.
Yeah, I think we're all good there.
Sorry, how many hands in are we now?
About 2,400.
It's only 20% of the way, John. So ways to go. And honestly, it could only be 10% if Daniel does decide to play the full 25K hands. And given the fact that he's about 20% done the first sort of leg of this thing, it's not impossible. I know he thought it was super likely. I thought it was unlikely, but
I thought it was really unlikely out of the gate. But I think he sort of thought of it as like a "if I'm getting buried" clause. Like that's the sort of main reason he seemed to want that in there.
Right.
He being Daniel, so perhaps he's not getting buried right now. We're already 20% of the way to that middle mark where he could decide to quit, assuming he's losing. So yeah, he can definitely keep going.
What do you think Negreanu thinks of as being buried? What's his like? What's the quit?
I honestly think it's more of like the amount. It's another top pair check down from Daniel. I would say I think it's more. It's like less. The amount is of course a super key factor, but it's also like how they got there. It's like that classic thing that people say about poker, where like if you get down to a short stack and then get back to even stack, you feel really good about having an even stack. But if you build a stack and then go back to even, you hate it. It's like kind of something like that, where like if he's in the last like 1,000 or 2,000 hands, he's just getting crushed and he ends up down like 500K, but he really got whacked in those last like handful of hands, like maybe he quits. But like if he's kind of on a good run towards the end of that, and he was never maybe buried below like 1 million, like I could see him like continuing to go. Like I really don't think he's going to quit, honestly.
I think you're right. I think if he loses like 600, 700, 800K in like kind of the last stretch, that might just sort of like feel like a little bit too much, especially if like he's maybe even up at some point in the middle of this challenge, and maybe so maybe like there's some spots where like 1 million is like a no-go and a negative 500K is like a let's hop in the mix.
Right.
Go for gold. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It's very contextual.
I also think just the fact that he's been, hold on, I'll wait for a second because we got a 4-bet on the right from Daniel. Pretty standard sizes that we've been seeing from these guys. Maybe some slight differences from the last session, but minor. Big bet from Daniel gets called on the left. Big C bet, I should say, 1,500 into 2K. Doug jams it in. No snap from Daniel. You have to imagine he. I would be surprised if he like tanks like tens. Like if you 4-bet for value at tens, you gotta click the call button. But yeah, he does fold.
Doug takes down.
Daniel
Ryan, Doug's number to call it quits. I don't think he has one. I think he would have to like actually run out of money, and I just can't see that happening. So, and I just don't think it'll ever happen.
Danny Evans 23 asks, "Can we get an FAQ pinned?" The same questions keep getting asked. Yes, that is in the plan. We just haven't gotten it made yet, but yeah, we will get it up. Small C bet from Doug on the left. What was I talking about before that 4-bet? Do you remember? Anyone in chat remember? Wow, this is pretty cool. When I forget something, I get to ask if one of them remembers what we were talking about. I wish I had that in normal life.
Queen 3-8. Doug bets turn. Kind of a tough spot for the big blind. You don't have a ton of middle of the road hands. Like a lot of them are like ace high, maybe like king jack. Even that you don't really have. You could have made an 8, but you have a lot of high cards that called the small flop bet that are lost. And the 10's going to also be quite bad. Yeah, but a couple eights. 10's also going to be quite bad. The button will make a number of 10s. Doug checks down. Could have had nothing, or could have had a 3 or something.
Mike G Funk, I'm stoked that Ryan's here too. I 100% agree, and I don't take that as a slight, not in the slightest.
Ryan, you're gonna go deep 10K. No way Doug makes over. Well, that's very interesting that you say that, Ryan O'Ryan. Want to bet? Do you want to you want to lay a price? Like, I'll take some more action. Jack 3-2, 3 diamonds. Kind of interesting board. Kind of centers around the jack and a lot of 1 diamond hands, and obviously like the flushes. But there's a lot of no flush draw hands that are tough to that want to compete or realize some equity, and they'll have a tough time doing it. Negreanu bets 2K. I don't think we've seen Doug raise many of these spots. Makes me kind of wonder how aggressive Negreanu's been in stabbing these spots. Like the biggest problem with stabbing is Doug making it 6K here, and you hating your life with 4s or ace 10 with a 10 of diamonds or something like that.
Overbet from Doug on the left, 150% on this river.
Hey,
oh, and we do get the 6K raise. Right on cue. A couple aggressive actions from Doug in big pots here.
Calls, turns to 7 of diamonds. And we're in the wilderness now. I frankly, oh god,
all in on the river from Daniel. That is bad for Doug. Daniel's not going to be light here too often.
He will oftentimes have 2 spades, for instance, the 10 of spades, and then 1 other spade. He does something like king 4, the king of spades, or 5-4, the 5-4 spades. He could have king 10 off with king of spades. Doug's in the tank.
Doug has made some big hero calls this session. I would kind of peg Negreanu as someone who makes sort of big sweeping adjustments in like the big spots in particular, and I could see him under bluffing for that reason, because we've seen some like really loose calls from Doug, at least how I see them. I mean, he might have a good explanation, certainly does, but I certainly was surprised to see a couple of his, in particular, ace high calls on the river and 3-bet pots. 20K pot now on the right on this 4 flush board. It's going to check down. Wow, Doug kind of got off the hook there.
Was that do I see that properly? Yes.
That's 2 flushes, 2 flopped flushes.
Daniel getting very unlucky there.
Indeed. So he probably has a value bet on that river, that spot.
Yeah, but you can never be too careful.
Man on Fire 000 says, "Fees, please continue to list spades." Oh, that was someone else who said it first. That's hilarious. We did just have our first complaint of bias, pro Doug Polk bias on the Doug Polk YouTube channel. I apologize if you were expecting something different, wholeheartedly. What's Doug down this session now? Probably another, our thing has it at 65K. I think he's probably at like minus 80K right now or so. Maybe a little less.
What was he? Let's see. He's kind of even on the right table, right? So that's how much he's down on the left table.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and he was like up, yeah, you're right. He was up like 10. Yeah, it's like 80. It looks like Doug's down about 80 to 90 at this point. $6-6-4, couple of clubs. Decent board for the button. Expect Doug to probably bet small here bunch. He does. Yep, uses 1/3 size. Negreanu calls.
Second flush draw on the turn now.
Tough turn for Negreanu. You don't really expect him to have, maybe ace 9, king 9. You expect Doug to have maybe a couple hands that made some straight draws, and then a number of hands that make 10-9, 9-7, 9-8. Doug goes for a bigger size bet. Negreanu's just kind of up a creek without a paddle and lets it go.
Someone asked, why do we have a Doug Polk bias? That's an interesting question. In Ryan's case, I believe they've been friends for like 12 years, and then I've known Doug for like, I don't know, like 8 years. And Negreanu, I think I was at his table in a tournament once before I got moved. That's my relationship with Daniel Negreanu. So that, just kind of weigh it. That's the root of the bias. Turn bet from Doug versus Daniel's check back on this flop. Daniel's going to raise. Daniel definitely would check back some fives on this flop.
Yeah, he definitely has an incredible hand here. There are two flush draws. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised to see Negreanu even do this with like a king or something to like raise and check down. Doug calls. See, I think Negreanu's also been noted. She check backs a couple strong hands, right? Like, would you be completely surprised to see him check back like 2 pair, 3 of a kind on the flop?
No, I wouldn't.
Goes for his 2/3 bet on the river. So
we haven't seen any. I don't think we've seen many, if any, like checkbacks with the 2 pairs or whatever. But we've seen some really strong checkbacks. So,
have you seen many bluffs in these kind of weird check back follow through type spots from Daniel?
Honestly, I haven't. It could just be misremembering, or not that certain hands not sticking out. But I don't remember many bluffs from Negreanu at all in this match for the most part, other than like some small spots, a handful of like big spots, like bet triple barrel spots kind of thing, or open triple barrel spots, or 3-bet triple barrel. He had a couple of those.
Right. And he ends up having a flush draw checked back from the flop. Turns just had a flush draw on the turn, went for the raise, and going to guess Doug had a 5. Got unlucky on the river, which is pretty in line with the way that Daniel's been running in the non-all-in showdown pots. How do you lay down or check flushes heads up? Well, you're not supposed to really do much of either. Daniel's found a way to check a number of them. What's my bet with Deeb? Deeb and I have a bet that if Doug wins 1.1 million or greater, I win. If he wins less, if he wins over that amount, I win. If he wins under this amount, in the whole challenge, it could be even 25 big hands. Deeb wins. At this point, bet looks a lot worse than when I made it. But the challenge is young. We are possibly around 10% way through the entire 25,000 hands, so we'll see. The weird thing about this bet is that like if he does go like the complete distance for all 25k hands, although like so there is like a weird thing. I actually don't have the full details on this. Do you know? I know that Perkins gave Daniel some sort of like bet to win the challenge. Are you familiar with this bet?
Yeah, apparently it's 10-1. And apparently also the quit clause, like, I mean, well, it's kind of irrelevant because Doug's not going to quit at 12.5k. So
right.
for Daniel to win, it has to go the distance anyway.
Right.
As Daniel's river bet gets through on the left to win a 5k pot. Yeah, but I think it's just 10-1 straight on Daniel winning. Bill Perkins has Doug. I don't know the amount though. I don't know if it's like an amount that actually like incentivizes a different strategy or anything.
Do you? Yeah, I wonder. Did you see that tweet storm from him yesterday?
Which one?
The one where he like said the match was like postponed.
Oh yeah, that was insane. I could not believe that happened.
Bill is very fast and loose with the tweets. I don't know what he was thinking. For those of you who don't know, Doug used the WSOP hand replayer to like review some hands, and then Bill tweeted, challenge postponed. Like, we need to review the rules. Let's get Galfond in here. Doug has been entering hands into like advanced software or something, which there was no software. Then he clarified that. He's like, well, he didn't do that, but like still we should like look at this. And then I don't know.
And I mean, it wasn't like my read on the situation, for what it's worth, to like those who aren't familiar, Daniel found out, the root of it is Daniel found out that Doug was like sort of reviewing the hands or whatever, and just sort of was like, okay, hold on, let's just discuss that, because I wasn't thinking about is that kind of thing allowed. Like, I'm not sure exactly what was going through Daniel's head, but it certainly wasn't like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Doug's doing something wrong. It was,
Right.
let's have a discussion to clarify something because I want to make sure we're on the same page. So that's all. That was like the level of discrepancy, extremely minor. Bill Perkins heard about it and then sort of like tweeted about it, which sort of already overrepresents the importance of it. Like, and I mean, Doug, Daniel, and Phil Galfond, the official arbitrator for the match, they hammered this out on a Zoom call in like 20 minutes or something. Like it was not a big deal at all. And yeah, it just sort of got blown up into something. And really the biggest thing sacrificed was Bill Perkins' Twitter mentions for a little while, because he was definitely taking a lot of heat. I don't think anyone like actually thought Doug did anything wrong.
Right. Yeah, almost as big as possible, not quite, but like in that ballpark.
It was ballpark possible for sure. Yeah. We got some people who want to take you up on that under 1.1.
Well, if you want, all right. Well, what price are you gonna land me? Because when I made that, Doug was up. Well, how much was Doug up at that point? 300, like 300K, right? Was he?
That was last Wednesday. Could have been 250. It could have been like 100. I don't remember what session.
No, exactly. It was no, it was closer to 300 because I might. It was either two.
Did Doug lose that? Did Doug lose that session? That Wednesday session?
Yeah. Wait.
I mean, I could check the page, and so could all of you if you ever want.
He did because he lost Wednesday and Friday, then he won Monday yesterday, and then now we're here.
Right.
Yeah, right. So he ended up. So at the time, I think he was like breaking even or something, and then he went on to lose. So
yeah, I'm checking our log right now. The log is, by the way, public, guys. If you didn't know, go to upswingpoker.com/HU4grudge. The link is right under the results in the middle bottom of your screen. If you go to that, it has like Doug's session graph, how many hands they've played, a really short recap of every session with a link to watch it. So yeah, it's basically like our hub for the challenge. So if you just want to go over there to see what's going on at any time, go check it out. Upswingpoker.com/HU4grudge. So yeah, it looked like that was the 11th last week that you commentated, and yeah, that was Daniel won 87K, which that was Doug's peak going into that session. Doug betting the turn versus Daniel's check back on the left here. Daniel calls, and we get the flush completing river.
I'll recap the big hands real quick. So basically, Doug 3-bet ace jack, king 8-5. Doug bet jam, king 8-5, queen 2 hearts 7. Doug had ace jack, Daniel had king 10. And then, oh shoot, you know what? I actually forget. What was the other one?
I think it was jack 10 of hearts for Doug, king queen offsuit for Daniel. Daniel 3-bet. Doug called, flop came king 10, 5, 2 hearts. So Doug has a pair and a flush draw. Doug raised Daniel's small flop c-bet, and then bet called off on the turn versus Daniel's shove. So it was just top pair versus middle pair and flush draw with clean trips and 2 pair outs, and Daniel held up for a nice little pot.
Yep. And then there was one other, I think it was a bet where I want to say jack 10-2 ace 9 backdoor spades get in. Doug overbets, Daniel shoves, Doug folds. No showdown, but pretty big pot. Doug bet 15K on the river.
Daniel's double barrel getting called on the left here. Got a pretty dynamic river. Daniel goes for the triple barrel. Daniel's definitely going to have some flush draws that he picked up on the turn that are now a flush. He's could have a hand like king jack, could have a hand like a set. When it comes to bluffs, like what do you think? What do you expect? Yeah,
Daniel can have all of the low gutters, 8-7, 8-6, 7-6, or he could have 3 queens. 3 queens is
a good hand, and he has
that body range. He could have also had like, I don't know how often he bet 6-4, 3-4, ace 3, ace 4 on the turn, but in classic Negreanu fashion, none of that, just 3 top set.
Top set with the queen of clubs, just for good measure.
Yeah, make sure Doug doesn't have any backdoor flushes. Top set goes for a big flop bet. What's that turn size? 3/4. Looks like just 3/4 the whole way. Yeah. Top set is good.
All right, we're running a poll on Twitch for what are we gonna do? 1 minute poll? Seems like enough. Who are you rooting for? Drop your votes. And just so the YouTube people aren't left out, drop a 1 in the chat if you're rooting for Doug. Drop a 2 in the chat if you are rooting for Daniel. Ryan's so bitter watching his 10K bet slip away. Oh yeah, guys. He's been complaining about this for a while. That's all he talks about is losing this 10K bet.
Just so long as Biden actually wins the election, we can call it a wash. Fee, how much action do you have on this match? Not money wise, people wise. Shard, can you expand on that? What exactly does that mean? Keep people wise. What do you think he could possibly mean there?
Literally no idea. It's fantastic. I would love him to elaborate. Doug bets and gets it through on the left for a small little pot. Small and little, that's how small it was.
Wow, 58% for Doug. That's definitely surprising. You would think he'd get 69 or at least 1,337, but 58. Well, that's what happens when you lose 3 buy-ins in a session. The chat's fickle. We'll turn on you quick.
Oh my god, it's fantastic. When Doug is winning, Daniel, like, why did he accept this challenge? He's so silly. All this. Yeah. When Daniel's winning, Daniel's the best. I think it's less people like actually changing their minds and more people who have their opinions being like sort of verified in their minds or whatever. Like,
I knew it. Daniel's won 3 big pots. 3 flips.
Exactly. So like you like Daniel, you do think that he's going to beat Doug or whatever. You see him start to beat him, so then you get active in the chat. That's my guess.
What size is he? Daniel, whoa, 3/4.
And vice versa.
Quarter's bad. Ryan, you gonna play in the new high stakes poker? If they make it PLO, I will consider it. What do you think the odds on an eventual winner are?
Oh, we lost the tables on stream. Sorry, guys. We'll get them back in a sec.
I'll let you guys know if anything big happens.
Yep. We do have a 3-bet. We do have a 3-bet pot on the right table with Daniel 3-betting and then Doug betting the flop on 10-8-3. Doug bets 3K into 8K. We know you can't see. We'll get it back.
So Doug called a 3-bet, 10-8-3 rainbow. Doug bets 3K into 8K on the flop. Daniel check raises to 10K. Doug folds.
Other table pot for Daniel. Daniel is cruising this session, straight cruising.
He's now, what is he up now? He's probably up 120.
Oh, sorry. The guy who's running our stream, guys, WSOP got a little weird on him. He's getting it back.
Doug calls a 3-bet, Jack 10-5, 2 spades. How many people have bet against Doug with you? Just one. Doug for president. So yeah, it's just I guess 2 because we also have Deeb now for 10K. So we have like a reasonably healthy bet on Doug. So let's go WCG Rider. Let's turn it around. Nice little break-even sesh for the road. Will be good. Doug bets small in the flop. I think he did his 2.7K bet. Turns the 8 of spades. Jack 10-5, 2 spades, 8, 3 spades. Daniel called a small bet. Now it's on the turn.
11K in the middle.
Doug has 34K active. Goes for a 9.4K bet. Action over to Daniel. He's in the tank. Last time this happened, Daniel had Ace Queen. Daniel all in. Doug, let's go.
Wins another one. Daniel wins another. That was a 30K pot.
Wow, Daniel might have 200K on one of these tables. Will this be his first 200K stack?
Definitely. I think it's only like the second 200K stack. We know you guys can't see where the site got a little mad at our guy running the stream. He's pulling the tables back up now, as you can see. Thank you for your patience. WSOP.com is a fickle site sometimes. You have to, if you're not moving your mouse, you have to click I'm here every 5 minutes.
Oh, actually, you know, there is a workaround for that. I'll remind me after the stream. I'll hook Jimmy up.
Cool.
Negreanu, $194,292.85 on the left table. What was the left table? Just a couple blinds away from 200. Doug over here trying to defend it. Not going to happen today with Jack 3. Wow, he checks his Jack 3 all the way down. Close, I guess.
They can see again now, by the way.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's an interesting one. The four lets a number of hands get there. He'll make a 4 with a number of hands. Could bluff. I think like 10 high is probably mandatory bluff, and like Jack high maybe go either way.
Really good start today for Daniel. Only about 45 minutes into today's session. He's up over 3 buy-ins now. Has won, I think, every pot over like 10K, maybe 20.
Daniel wins over the 25K hands. Is Daniel better in heads up than Polk Meister? I mean, yeah, 100%. There's no, I mean, what other conclusion could you possibly draw from that?
That's right.
Got a little pop run. King 9-4. What was the action here?
Oh, I missed it. I was looking at these wonderful people in the chat making some great points.
Daniel check raised. My money's on Daniel check raised. A C bet. River 10. Queen Jack. Don't know how often Negreanu will have it. Not impossible. He checks. Daniel could still have a king here. He said in the trap. Doug could easily have missed clubs. Number of missed club draws out there. Doug in the tank.
Stoic Shaman asks, is Ryan trolling? Is 25K enough of a sample? It's actually not even about the sample. It's just about the results. So if you play 10 hands versus someone and you win,
you're better.
Exactly.
I mean, challenge involved. Like, I mean, that would
that's true. It's only if it's an official challenge. If you just like hop on stars and like play OTB for 10 hands and win, you're not better than him. You have to officially challenge him so he knows what's at stake.
Right. Yeah. You have to. Yeah. You let OTB know that it's a challenge for 6 max supremacy, and then you beat him. Then yeah. But if he doesn't know, it's not. I mean, it's not fair. It's like cheating.
That said, jokes aside, you can draw some conclusions based if you look a little bit further and not just look at those results, and you actually look at the hands too. Like, I mean, just imagine a situation where, like, you know, which I think some people like kind of thought this was going to happen, though I think this was wishful thinking from maybe Doug fans or something, that like Daniel was just going to play absolutely putrid, super tight, you know, make a bunch of stupid decisions. Like, if you see a bunch of actual evidence, like from the showdowns, like, oh, this guy's like not making good decisions, then you can decide, you know, this guy's, you know, worse than the other guy. And, you know, same for Doug. If Doug made a lot of decisions that like just made no sense and a bunch of people were crucifying them, like maybe he's not as good as everyone thought or as he thought, but that's not really going to happen. And it's also not going to happen for Daniel. Like, neither player is going to play so bad that we can draw those conclusions. It would be more for like extreme scenarios.
It's like Doug goes for a top pair with a flush draw bet here on the flop. And then just shows it down. Is that what happened here? Oh, small bet. Daniel led the 7 turn. Doug just going with the call, which seems completely reasonable. River Queen, check. Nice, very little pot for Doug. For the time being, defending 200K. I guess that's where we're at now. This isn't like okay, Doug's going to get on stuck session. This is just like Daniel's not going to get to 200K session. That's like, I think that's for now, that's the bar to success. Do not let Daniel win $4,600 on this table like one time.
Someone's
Yeah.
saying if Doug loses, his rep is torched. I don't think that's true. I think he will get a lot of heat, and he would get a lot of like mean
Yeah.
tweets for a long time.
Tweets
I
and
know,
YouTube comments for a long time would be very difficult.
probably forever. I mean, I would say in like 20 years. If he loses this match in 20 years, his videos will still be getting like
Still,
heat.
yeah.
Why would I listen to you? You lost to DNX, but that
Or
doesn't
better, yeah. People will just
doesn't
be like, who'll be
yeah, it
doing?
just doesn't mean his rep is torched.
Yeah. You could be making like YouTube videos about like asteroid mining, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I get it, like diamonds in like outer space, but like, did you know that more is better?" Doug just be like, "Yes, it is. You're right. My bad." Both players are terrible. The Wild Bill 247. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Doug isn't playing Negreanu basically like 90% of the time, so you could just deposit a little money on ACR, just get some Bitcoin or even on WSOP, and Doug will sit you.
Daniel
Granted,
Florbet's on the right. By the way, Doug has been grinding. Like gets through. Fee is not kidding. Like before this session, Doug was playing 5100 against I think like a reg on WSOP.com earlier today for like an hour or two. So he just like grinded poker to like
Doug is a full time. I mean, this honestly, this is what chat wanted. Chat was like, dude, can you just grind out some like chips and cards, please? Like, we miss you. And like, Doug inadvertently talked his way into a full-fledged career as a professional poker player, and here he is. I never thought I would see it, but the Lord works in mysterious ways. King 7-5, turn 10 brings a lot of draws. Negreanu goes for bet. Negreanu's range probably a little bit stronger than most here. We know he likes to trap in these spots. 4 doesn't give Doug a whole heck of a lot. You would expect him to bet most of his straights. Could have had a couple 2 pairs, maybe 3 4s, but other than that, he doesn't love this river. But fuck it, maybe he's got 3 4s or king 4. Goes for the raise and takes it down.
quick fold from Daniel.
Yeah. It's probably a tell. Daniel bet the river instead of check, so he probably was weak. And for the time being, Doug defends 200K. So, the session overall adjusted for where we're at. The session's actually gone quite well. We're almost an hour in. Daniel looks like he's going to take a short break here. Ryan, will Daniel win his last longer marriage bet? Probably not. He might tie it, but I don't see him winning it. I think Deeb is like he's made his bed and he's gonna keep it as warm and happy for as long as possible. So I like Deeb's side.
Is there another heads-up challenge you guys would like to see? I did see some people suggesting Ryan Fee versus Daniel Negreanu after this. Don't see that happening. I would love to see the Dan Bilzerian Doug Polk challenge. That would be fantastic with a nice chunky side bet.
I have a ridiculous random Aggies. Do you still talk to Borg? I talk to Borg all the time. I talked to Borg this morning, as a matter of fact. I don't know who you are, but yeah, me and Borg are still boys. Fees versus Daniel probably will not happen. But I mean, fuck, if Doug's playing, you never know. And yeah, God willing, Bilzerian. So yeah, did you hear about this Bilzerian thing? I read something in the chat. I don't know if it's true, but I read it enough times to where I'm like, this could have been something that happened.
The whole thing with the 10-1 or whatever.
Yeah, so allegedly Bilzerian was in some chat somewhere and said Doug has accepted my heads-up challenge. He did, but he probably won't. My 20 million to
his 2 million, right?
Yeah, Doug to his 2 million. And yeah, I don't know.
Wait, vice versa. It would have to be Doug's 20 million because Doug's the favorite.
Sorry, did I say that?
Yeah,
sorry,
Doug's 20 million
versus Dan's 2 million. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, Negreanu's, I guess, up. I guess he's up some amount now, so maybe Bilzerian's licking his chops. He sees a fish in the water and he sees value, so fuck it. 10-1's a pretty good price. God, I hope that happens. That would be just like the sickest shit ever. I also get the sense that Bilzerian would probably happen if it did happen, which seems impossible. I'll be honest with you. It seems.
I agree.
What? Okay, I mean, we're here now, obviously. But what to you, without any prior knowledge, we went back 3 months, or I don't even know how long we're. Let's say we went back 6 months, and I was like, which of these challenges is more likely to come to fruition? Doug versus Daniel, heads up for rolls, no limit, online poker, or Douglas versus Dan Bilzerian, heads up for rolls, online, no limit poker?
I mean, it's hard to not be a little colored by bias of like knowing what happened, but I would probably have said Daniel, or well, I guess they're both named Daniel, huh? Daniel Negreanu. It's just like a little bit more of like a straight line. Like Doug doesn't just like tweet about Dan Bilzerian as much like randomly, like sort of out of the blue, or like in a reaction to something they do as much as he does Daniel Negreanu. Like when Negreanu like I remember before Daniel Negreanu first blocked Doug on Twitter, like almost every single, even remotely dunkable take from Daniel Negreanu, Doug was in there dunking on it, even if the dunk was low quality. Like he was a quantity over quality man in some of those dunks on Twitter specifically. And
I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so like, his hand was forced, really.
Yeah, whereas just Dan Bilzerian, like he doesn't like Doug's not like picking on Dan Bilzerian on Twitter all the time or anything. Certainly not. So I don't think it would have really come up.
Personality type, like Daniel's not like a very Bilzerian's a very heads up for rolls type of guy, whereas like Negreanu is definitely not. So top set for Daniel yet again, but still only at 95K, so the session's still basically a win.
Wait a second. That pot was 3K, and Daniel Negreanu was in the big blind.
What the fuck? Daniel Negreanu called with pocket queens. He flopped top set. Check call. Does he have the club? And then checks it down. Yeah, 3 queens.
Just for those of you wondering, I don't think that's a thing. I don't think you're supposed to flat queens at any frequency ever versus 3-bet, or versus an open rather. We'll see what happens.
I think he misclicked.
Yeah, that's true. That's obviously a decent possibility.
And something happened here. Daniel bluffed, or made a really thin call. Let's take a look at this 7-7-2 hand. All right, we got a raise and a call. 7-7-2, 2 diamonds. Check call. Yeah, and Daniel probes the river with. Yeah, makes sense. Jack 6, backdoor flush draw.
That's well played from him there.
This is gonna
on the left table. We have a C bet from Doug and a 3-bet pot. We got 13K in the middle going into this turn. Sorry,
not that exciting. Not that exciting from Doug, but still has a ton of equity in this pot. But it's a lot more exciting when Doug makes it 9K. Daniel now making it 2,800. Guessing this is a very high frequency play. And yeah, this is very similar to that 3 diamond board where you really attack it by raising. But Doug comes in for the call. River Queen. It's good in the sense that none of Daniel's unpaired hand. Doug definitely has showdown value at this point for the most part. And none of Daniel's unpaired hands just made anything. So it's kind of pure in that sense. Overall, pretty good river for Doug. But now Daniel's in the tank. That's not good for Doug. This 200K stack, yes! 9s are good, yes.
That's the pot for Doug there.
Defense. All right, we'll hold it down for now.
Hit the panda, we are going to officially say that was a misclick from Daniel. I don't think he's flatting queens in the big blind on purpose. Unless, who knows? Who knows? Raise from Daniel on the right in a 3-bet pot, 7K over 2,300. Doug getting a great price. More complaints of pro Doug bias on Doug Polk's YouTube channel and Upswing Poker's Twitch. You love to see it.
I don't know what he has, but he's got a number of good hands. Takes it down. All right.
Does get through. You don't really see too many 3-bets on the flop in general. It's pretty rare to 3-bet on the flop, but at a position, a 3-bet pot could make some sense, especially with those small sizes being used.
He's definitely not going to get to 200K on that table. I feel rock solid. If anybody wants any action on Daniel getting to 200 on the right table, you got it. I'll even give you 2-1. This is a weird. I think delay and barrel here. Yeah. What? No. What happened here? Well, Daniel one step closer to 200K on that table. Daniel calls raise this time with king queen. Check, check. He bets. And then check calls king queen. Yeah. Doug's hammers in the cookie jar. 10 high, no good.
Daniel betting the flop on the right for his usual min sizing, and then checking back the turn, betting the river, gets through.
It's a little bit of a tricky spot for I wonder what he's. I mean, the thing is, without like hand histories, or it's really hard to say. But I know that Daniel's had a couple of aces in that spot to bet, min bet, then check.
Scott saying, I'm honestly tired about hearing when something is a thing. I actually 100% agree with that. I hate that I said it. I hate that phrase, saying is a thing. Ugh.
You know, Doug loves to say that though.
He does love it. That's actually probably a good amount of the reason. Like it's like bled into my like speech because he says it so much, or like at least occasionally. I hate it though. It's the absolute laziest possible like way to end a sentence.
Yeah. Wow, Doug actually just got what did Doug check all the time? No, Doug. This is an interesting hand. Doug bet 9-4 for bottom pair, backdoor flush draw, and then check called river to catch against a missed flush draw. So there's not a ton of hands that probe check call there, but Doug found it, and for the time being is defending a 200K stack on the left table. Did you see in the last session, the session on Monday, did you see any spots where it was like a single raise pot and Doug bet, overbet, jam?
Yes, he did have 2 or 3 of those. I don't remember the specifics though, unfortunately.
You didn't go to showdown on any of them, I suppose.
No, I don't think so.
That sucks. Those are juicy. Those are the ones you really want to see what everybody has. Daniel comes in for the 4-bet on the 200K defense table. 10, 6, 20. Doug in the tank. I don't know if we've seen any 4-bet pots yet. Maybe one, but actually maybe none. Maybe there's just one where Doug shoved and that was it. Doug wants to see a flop. 10, 6, 3, 3 clubs. Probably not an amazing flop for Doug's range, but fuck it. Maybe he's got queen jack of clubs. Daniel goes for his patented 20% flop bet in a 4-bet pot, and unfortunately Doug has 2 red cards, and let's go.
Just to be clear, Fee cannot see the cards, and we can't see the cards either. He didn't know they were red.
That was my read. It's my online live read. Oh no, now Daniel's at 198K. For the love, can we get one good thing this session? For the love of God. Is there an official tally? How much is he stuck? I'm gonna guess 60, 140.
Yeah, about 140. Norrison, Mike, how is Doug down 120? I did see you ask before. We just recapped it like 10 minutes ago, so I don't want to repeat too much for people, but we'll do a good recap in like, I don't know, 20 minutes or so.
Also, shout out to, I don't know if any of you guys ever end up watching the VODs. If you go to the comments, some angelic soul goes through and timestamps all the big pots, so you can just click through and watch them. Shout out to that guy. And yeah, when you guys go to review some sessions, if you want to just see the big pots, that's the best way to do it. Ace, king 9, ace 7.
Doug puts in the small, what I'm assuming this is a river probe?
Yep.
No, it can't be a river probe because he didn't put the money on the flop.
He must have just bet.
Yeah, he must have just bet that, turn river. Interesting. Nice call from Daniel.
Did not work.
Three bet from Daniel gets through on the right.
And he's now over 200K. So this session is essentially all is lost.
All is lost.
All is basically lost.
You guys can sign off now because it's over.
That's it. Doug, 3 bets. Negreanu calls. 3 spades on the flop. 9-6-4. Let's see. Do you know what Doug's monotone board strategy is? Big blind after 3 bet. Whoa. I don't know if I've seen that bet from Doug yet. It's a very tiny bet. We got 12.
Yeah, it's really small. Wow.
2 and 2 8. 15% bet. First time. Daniel goes
tiny raise. Interesting spot. Doug needs to call 2,400 or so to win 13K here. Really small size is being used.
Limit hold'em happening for this hand and this hand only. Call. Turn is a 6. I guess I don't know. I don't know who that's good for. Doug doesn't have any 6. I mean, neither of them might really have any 6s.
That's a spade.
River's a spade. This is. Who do you think this is good for? I think this is good for.
Oh God, it's so hard.
It's so hard. I'm gonna say this is good for Negreanu. Because I think he had a. I think he would have maybe bet a pair on the turn. So I don't think he would. If he did have like a 2 heart hand, he'll probably bluff the river. He'll have a number of 1 spade hands to raise check.
I think this situation is just clearly better for Negreanu as the flop raiser.
But
I think he's also going to check back some like super strong hands on the turn. Ooh, and he's got the ace-9, ace of spades, huge flop for him.
Casual nuts on the river. God, Doug didn't check shove. I was about to say that. He didn't do that. So I mean, really, this session is kind of turning around when you really think about it. Like, we could have easily been down another 30K. Doug goes for another 3 bet. And Daniel, let's go.
I want to see a 200K pot today, says Misco Cove. I hope we do too.
Me too.
They haven't been deeper than like, I would say 80K each. So we haven't really had the opportunity to see like some big ones, but no like really, really huge ones. The biggest one of so far is 130K, pretty sure. They're both 65K deep to start that hand, where this is only going to make sense for those of you who saw it, but it was Doug's aces versus Daniel's 9-7 on 8-8-5-8-9, and they played 130K pot with Doug jamming the river, Daniel rivering a full house and calling.
Daniel goes for a delay on the jack. Certainly makes a lot of sense. Number of Jack X hands. Most of his Jack X hands are going to check back the flop and want to bet the turn. River ace. Not really that good for Doug. I guess Negreanu is less likely to have ace jack, but Negreanu bombs it. At this point, he's jack or like 5-4. Doug calls. Oh, king. There you go. I guess Doug had a jack there and got scammed.
He's still dropping frames. Let's see. No, it looks better. It looks better now. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Earl Burton, I'd be surprised if you see the difference at the end of more than 2 buy-ins. Do you mean at the end of the whole thing? I would actually be pretty surprised if they were within 80K. That's a pretty
that's a really
low. It's a low likelihood event, but I mean, if you're right, that's a Babe Ruth-like shot call. Doug betting the river here on the right after c-betting the flop.
We actually have a pretty good question here. What do you think the over-under is for the biggest pot in the challenge?
It's a good question. So they're not resetting stacks. They're just like playing it out. So if they get like 150K deep, like we could see, wow, a nice little straight value bet from Doug there. Probably getting called by ace or king high. Doug check raising the left. Yeah, you want to answer the question, Fee?
What do I think? Well, so it's tricky. It's like if they're going to play these 100 big blind sessions, and they're not going to play longer than 2 hours and not reset stacks, then how big is it probably going to be? I mean, you got to imagine they'll get all, I don't know, it's probably going to be around 200K.
Yeah, I would say 200K is a good line.
200K is like probably a pretty good line.
It's hard to play a 200K pot. Like it's harder than you might think. Like it starts to get to the point.
It actually might be, the line actually might be like slightly less, maybe like 180, like 190. Yeah, because you have to get that deep and then you have to play the pot, and it just doesn't in 2 hours. Like it's just not going to happen that much. So I'd actually set the line at like 175. Yeah, assuming that if all of a sudden we start playing some 4-hour sessions, like that's going to change real quick. Doug goes for the check raise, top pair, and then what was the rest of this hand? What did he check all the turn?
Yeah, I believe so. And then check on river.
Yeah, Daniel had a miss straight draw. How much did Daniel bet the turn? Pretty big. Wow. Huh. Interesting. And gave up. Doug versus Berkey. Don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, not in the cards.
Doug goes for another 3-bet.
Mike Howard says D-Neg's getting all that Polk YouTube money today. Yeah, I think he's won about probably like 3 years of Doug upswing ad revenue.
Doug YouTube revenue?
Yeah, just about 3 years. So that's a good chunk of it.
So sick.
4-bet from D-Negs.
Doug in the tank. Calls.
Ace high board. That's going to be a little better for Daniel for sure.
2 spades. Daniel's going to like this board, but on occasion, Doug will also like this board. I'm going to guess we're going to see 4,400 here from Negreanu. Check. Another spade. Is this tempting for Doug? My guess is his bet size here, if he does choose to bet, will be 13. 12, 13. This is that was actually, you know what? That was a 1-3-3-3-7 situation. We actually just missed out.
This one guy in the chat has asked you to drink coffee like literally every like 15 minutes for the entire stream. It's so funny.
I mean, honestly, like I
appreciate
that he cares. Like he's clearly looking out for me.
Yeah, it's nice.
And I do appreciate that, but I have to go to bed relatively soon because I'm trying to get on that early morning visit my parents on the East Coast schedule, and they're old and on the East Coast. It's already like -3 hours, so I got to be up pretty early. So sadly, there's gonna be no coffee, and there are gonna be blue blockers.
Alan Southall asks, have we seen a substantial D-Negs bluff yet? In this session, I don't think he's shown down not a significant bluff, maybe some small ones. There was one in particular from the live session where he 3-bet with King 9 offsuit and then just ran it for 3 streets on it actually might have even been a 4-bet. It's one or the other. He either 4-bet or 3-bet pre. He flopped a gut shot with King 9 on 10-8 or 10 Jack X, and then just ran it 3 times, bet 3 streets, jammed the river, and Doug had Ace Queen high, so he folded. It's a nice little triple from Daniel on that one. Daniel's raising the turn here now on this queen.
What's the biggest bluff? What was the action here? Doug must have check raised and then bet? No. You have to replay this one.
Yeah, we'll see after the hand.
River King of Hearts. Flush gets in. Don't know if Daniel ever has heart. Feels like Daniel's more like queen plus or straight draw. So he doesn't really have. So he's probably not thrilled about hearts getting in. Doug is in the tank. I think. Am I seeing this? No. Daniel check. No, Doug has trips.
Doug with 3 queens.
Doesn't get cooler. Hey.
That's pretty much the biggest pot that Doug has won this session. He's won a few of those 20K, 25, 30K pots, but all of the ones that really move the needle went to Daniel today.
Yeah, Doug,
very good strategy.
Doug raised. That's how we got there. Sorry, say that again, Jimmy. I'm blind. Oh, I'm blind. My bad. My bad. What's the biggest bluff you've seen Negreanu run the whole challenge? We got 3-bet pots.
What's the biggest one I saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, the King 9 one live. That's
Okay.
just saying. Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible he's ran like an all-in bluff in the online portion that just like didn't get to showdown. But as far as ones that showed down, I don't think he's had one of those online yet.
I remember the queen 3. Do you see the queen 3 of diamonds bluff?
It sounds familiar, but it's not striking.
Probes a single raise pot and then check raises river versus a bet. 5-4 2-8 jack. Oh, hey, great news for Doug. Daniel probes the 9 on the turn and then checks river. Oh, it is kind of a weird river to give up because a lot of things sort of get there. I wonder what does Negreanu not have showdown value? I guess he could have like a king jack type hand. Nope. Showdown
Pair of
value.
sixes is gonna win.
We got a big pot down here. Doug has quads. Let's take a look.
That's gonna win. 4 jacks.
Quads are good. This is not Omaha. Got a check raise, a bet, and a check and check call. I'm gonna get. I mean, Negreanu just had a 3 or like 5s or something.
Yeah, pretty likely. Ryan Fee needs to clean it up ASAP if he's going to see his parents. Don't worry, he's going to them. They're not going to his place. Yeah. Unless you mean like clean up his beard, which, you know, I don't know.
No, I will. I actually do have to go get a cut before I go see them. My mom will be complaining. It's so long. What's wrong? What's wrong? I don't want to touch your. I want to kiss you. I just don't want to touch your face.
Your mom will say that.
Yeah, but she'll kiss me. She'll say it while she's kissing me. Do your parents are your parents scared of flying or like COVID, like just in general?
No. My parents
refuse to like come and see me or fly anywhere. I was even like, you guys want to go to like Mexico or Florida or something? Nah, COVID. Just like, okay. GG. So I like go there, I get tested, and then I go there, I get tested, go to the hotel, and then I see them the next day, and like, God willing, like no one gets COVID. Ryan needs to play Empire Maker heads up. That actually would be a lot of fun. I don't know if he would play me, but that actually could be fun. I would get like slightly unstuck from our DFS bet, which was a lot of fun. Did you follow that on Twitter? Did you see that happen?
I was looking at chat. What were you talking about?
Empire Maker. I made a DFS bet with Empire Maker. I know nothing about DFS.
Who'd you take?
I took not Empire Maker. Empire Maker laid me -130 to take somebody that wasn't him. And something that I thought was like a coin flip, but it's honestly, it's like hard to say if it was or wasn't. He had allegedly been taking some performance enhancing drugs when it comes to DFS. And I mean, they worked out because like he won the challenge with like, there was one match to go, but even if my guy got first place, he still would have won. So I torched 50K. So that's why I really need Biden to take down this election thing so I can get unstuck. Although Bitcoin's going our way, so we got that to look forward to. Actually, I would be curious. Can we run a poll?
We can on Twitch. Yeah. What do you want the options to be?
And you own any kind of cryptocurrency, or you don't? Like, I'm curious what percentage of the Twitch chat owns any crypto. Like, you have $1 in Ethereum or Bitcoin, you're part of the team. You have 0 right now. Not you ever did. Like right now, you're in.
All right, let's rip. Do you own any cryptocurrency? I didn't even check the results of that last one. It was like Doug versus Daniel. Who are you rooting for? Didn't even look.
We had 58% Doug.
Ah. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm pretty surprised. Well, no, I'm actually not surprised. I take that back. How many Daniel fans we've had? I expect to see a lot. Popular poker player. He's probably the only one that if you like go to a random country, you know, that doesn't have a ton of poker on TV, you go ask someone if they know a poker player. Like Negreanu is definitely the favorite to be said. Most people are going to say I don't know any though.
Who do you think, Negreanu, Helmuth, or Ivy?
I think it's Negreanu, but quite a bit.
Wow, really? Damn.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling. I get the feeling he's like the well, this might be a little outdated, but like the New York Yankees in terms of international like brand, like when you wouldn't expect it.
Sure. We got a pot here. King 10, got the min bet from Daniel. And then what, he bet the turn? Yeah. Queen 10, Doug calls with 8 out straight draw and a flush draw, no good.
Very even poll. Wow.
Can you view, if you click on it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, you hit the down.
But I'm not sure, do you interpret that as it being like high or low?
Am I surprised by that number? In
Like
terms of high or low?
Than you would have thought that the Twitch chat owns.
That's about right. Yeah.
I wish we could run one on YouTube. I would love to know the difference between Twitch. I feel like YouTube's maybe like 2-1 against.
We could run a straw poll on YouTube. They might have I might be a noob and they like have a feature over there as well, but who knows? I certainly don't.
50%. Oh, 50% of you are having a pretty good week.
Pot-sized turn delay c-bet from Doug there on the ace. It gets through. Daniel's going to check that ace turn basically always. When the pre-flop razor checks back the flop and turns an ace heads up, they have a lot of those ace highs, so you see a lot of passive play from the out-of-position player. Okay, I gotta pull for you YouTubers. Dropping it. I'm just gonna spam it a few times so it doesn't get lost. Let's get some votes. Do you own crypto, YouTube? Overbet on the left from Daniel, about 150% pot, gets through.
See that? Yeah, Doug's snapful is an interesting one. So he bet 3/4 pot on the turn. And then looks like about, just 140% on the river. Really gets it through. Could be a 2-pair, but honestly, like the way he plays a number of these boards, just could easily been a checked back top pair that, I mean, King 10 at that point is essentially the nuts, so why not?
Doug bet 1-3-3-8. Oh, I missed that. Absolutely insane.
That's brutal.
Can you hit him up?
That was the only thing I told him. I was like, of all the things we've talked about for like the challenge, like I'll kind of like listen. I don't really ask many questions, but I made like one. I'm like, hey man, like you bet like 1-3-3-6 like a bunch of times. Like, could you for the?
He just did it again. He just did it again. This is insane. All he needs to do is like adjust the percent, like if he can, like a fraction of a percent.
Like, take a screenshot of that and tweet at him, and like just let him know that you're breaking his heart. He's breaking it.
Yeah, please do.
Our heart. I told him to do it. He doesn't listen to me, so. But maybe his Twitter mentions he just won't be able to. He'll just have to make an adjustment. Daniel cruising his way to 300K on this table. Goes for a 3-bet. Oh, takes it down. 316. Jesus Christ, 319.
Daniel's taken a nice lead.
Do you know what he's at for the session now? Gonna guess.
I think our one between 160 and 180. So he's up about 100, around 100 overall right now.
Why is Doug losing? Negreanu's cards are better than Doug's at Showdown.
And then sometimes not even that.
Yeah, Sometimes not even that.
So far, the chips have went his way. That's how you lose at poker. Call from Doug on the right. I believe that was a check raise on the flop, but I missed it. Yeah, check raise. Ace turn, that's going to be a little better for Doug, though a lot of the hands that Daniel is check raising are a 6, so they're not too concerned about an ace.
Yeah, Daniel's got a bunch of hands. Like, somebody's kind of just dead in this hand for the most part. Like, it's possible that Doug has a hand like 5-4 and Daniel has a hand like 7-5 and Daniel's way ahead, but 5-4 kind of always beat that hand.
It makes sense to see a small bet out of Doug here, considering what Ryan just said. He's Daniel's either got a pretty strong hand that he's now trapping for a second time with, or he's got like one of those like check raises on the flop that sort of is giving up. So yeah, that small bet puts those hands in a tougher spot. Daniel could also have a hand like a 3. 3s definitely should check raise the flop at some frequency.
River club, I think, generally better for Doug than for Daniel. Don't think Daniel has a ton of clubs.
Yeah, unless it's 6x of clubs, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Doug with the pair on the left, top pair, getting a river value bet. Daniel does have the 6 of clubs with a king.
Right. Doug is that one. Gets off the hook nice and cheap. Love to see it. What happened here with this ace? Doug just probed and barreled. That makes sense. Sure. What size did he? I think he's the small size. Yeah, small size on the turn and bigger size on the river. Bunch of straight draws missed. Why not? Why not?
Someone asked, how do we know DNegs is playing? It's not someone else. It's DNegs. They've got some measures in place. Apparently 360-degree cameras in both players' rooms that they're playing in to make sure there's no funny business going on. You wouldn't really expect that with either player. You wouldn't really expect either of these guys to do anything to compromise game integrity. But can never be too careful, so they did set it up, and it's being sent to like a third-party server where neither player has direct access to it. Oh, Doug's raising the river here. Neither player has direct access to the footage, but it does exist, which, just its existence really makes it unlikely that anyone's going to cheat because it could just be reviewed at any time. Does call.
Ooh, pocket kings are good.
Daniel, Doug making a strong 2-pair there on that 3. Probably not raising on a different card, but on a 3, he's able to get value from all those 2 pairs that he now beats. Possible he'd raise on a blank like a 2 or something though. Hard to say.
Doug actually checked the turn. He bet for a small flop bet, checked the turn, and then raise river, and works out for him. Guess Negreanu had a 9.
Straw poll for what, professional botanist?
Eight, 7, 3, 2 diamonds. Pretty interesting flop. A lot of things can happen. Turn check, turns a jack. Pretty good card for Doug. A bunch of Negreanu's jack X hands are going to bet the flop. He'll make hands. He'll make something on like a king 9, queen 9, but he's not low in this board. Doug checks. Daniel bets. Well, Daniel does actually check back a little bit stronger. It would be surprising though if this was a bluff for him, but it could be. He does really like to check back his flush draws. And we might just find out if he has one on this river. Doug goes for a very small lead. Daniel insta calls, and Doug has the jack and takes it down. I wonder what Daniel would have had there. I guess ace high flush draw. I don't know. That was a weird one.
Uno something asks, how do you know someone is not remotely controlling Daniel's computer? You guys are hilarious. While that's probably not really a concern at all, I just don't think he's going to do that. WSOP.com is extremely finicky when it comes to third-party software of certain types. You can't even have TeamViewer installed on your computer without WSOP.com knowing, and then they'll even send you. Same with Zoom. Maybe some of it is like not necessarily installed, but you definitely can't have it open while you have it up. So there's no, like WSP's really careful about like not allowing that stuff because due to like they're actually a regulated legal site, so they're really careful about all those kind of things. You can't get away with stuff you get away with on like whatever other offshore
Also,
poker site.
like the thing is, like when you're playing somebody heads up, especially heads up, you really would have like a very good sense for whether or not they like who you're playing, kind of based on the way that they're playing. And my sense is that, yeah, everybody thinks that it's Doug and Daniel. And yeah, just kind of knowing the two of them, you would really be very surprised if it wasn't. So it is good to have precautions, but for the most part, yeah, we got ourselves a good old fashioned heads up for rolls.
Chat really wants you to look into the camera, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Because you've been looking down. Well, I mean, you have to look at the tables or whatever. So what are you gonna do? But you just make some eye contact. Like make some people happy and other people uncomfortable. Just do it real quick. Oh, what do you get? What could you possibly be getting?
I have like a box I can put my computer on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is boom.
There you go, guys.
Boom. And we lower the chair. Daniel goes for a small bet on 7, 6, 5, 2 spades. Doug goes for the small raise. I think you expect Doug to be pretty aggro here, so not the best board for a 3-bet range.
Not at all, and that's one reason you'd expect Daniel to use the smaller size. You don't want to use a large size when the board is much better for your opponent's range in terms of the top best possible hands. Ooh, Daniel with a quick jam. All from Doug. Wow, big pot. Spade on the river. Daniel's going to win 100K pot there.
Unlucky.
Interesting action. So Doug just flatted the 3-bet with queens there, about 120 blinds deep, 125 blinds deep. That's pretty surprising too. I would not expect him to do that.
Yeah, you'd expect that to mostly be a 4-bet hand.
Yeah, maybe that was.
What type of surname is Fee? It's Irish. Irish, as a matter of fact. It used to be McPhee, but then we got to America and they're like, eh. It's kind of like the Facebook, which is like Facebook's cleaner. Thank you. Doug with a small check raise on the 8-7-5 2-8 spot. Danny goes for his big bet. Bets and bets calls a raise. Complete brick, use the hearts on the turn. Let's see what Doug likes here.
Got some discussion in the chat if that was an overplay from queens. Guys, if you're going to flat a 3-bet with was it a 4-bet pot? Can you replay that? Ryan? I don't know if you can even hear me. It was a 3-bet pot, right? Yeah.
Raise all in. No. I mean, I think it's
if you're flatting a 3-bet with queens and you get a 7 high board, like you're not folding. Just to be clear. This is heads up no limit, guys.
Yeah, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do. Doug checks over to Daniel on 8-7-5. Doug check calls. River 4 of hearts. Flush draw misses. Oh, wow. Doug world makes a straight, takes it down. God, one time. Why can't Negreanu have fucking 10-9? Unbelievable. I'm sure he just had I don't even know what, King 8. 7-5. Doug's 20 to 30K pot game is just so on point right now. If only he could just scooch that up just a wee bit to the 80 to 150K pot range, we'd be in business. We could still get unstuck. Got 30 minutes to play.
Yeah, a lot of time left. Stacks are starting to get a little bit deep, so some big swings can happen very quickly.
Daniel no longer has 200K on that table, so and I mean in all actuality,
I guess the session's kind of turned around for Doug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a nice size bet from Daniel on this straighty river. Nice value bet with the ace-8.
And makes he's good. Let's take a look at the action on this one. This is kind of be a somewhat interesting hand to get there with ace-8.
No limit fitness. If Doug loses this match, he has to do another bankroll challenge. If that was actually on the table, I think Doug would. I mean, he's been grinding hard for this. I think he'd turn it up even more.
I would fucking die if he had to do another bankroll challenge.
I mean, he would never do it. He'd never make that mistake again. That was some of the most miserable Doug has ever been.
That was some of the most miserable. And he did. So like I don't. He took it as like a personal challenge. He felt like his integrity was on the line for some reason. For doing it, I think he could have. Well, at least from my perspective, he could have just as easily quit, and I don't think it would have made any difference. But what do you have a read on this?
Yeah, I don't think it mattered. But he wanted to do it. Like,
I don't think it mattered. You don't think it.
If it's in your head, like it could almost be less like his image or his rep or whatever, and more just like he started a challenge, he wants to fucking finish it. I don't blame him.
YouTube comments though, like no one would have edited, but the YouTube comments probably would have forever been after him. But I mean, like, it doesn't matter what he does. He could have won the challenge in like 2 weeks. They still would have given him a hard time.
Poker Staples in the chat. What's up, man?
What's up, Jamie? Does anybody in the chat feel like Doug like really came through for you, or like really came through for you? Really would have been let down had he not finished the bankroll challenge. I'll tell you what though, it did give me probably my favorite ever Doug Polk clip. I'm sure you've seen this. I've watched this on repeat, especially like if I'm bored. The Doug like loses his mind clip where he starts. Like people keep asking him the same questions in chat, like what site is this? Like, why don't you have a HUD? It's like you can't bluff at the micros. Do you know what I'm talking
about? Yeah. I mean, there were actually a few clips like that. Oh wait, girl, we got an overbet raise from Doug. We got an overbet raise from Doug on the right.
All right, we take it.
Dirty Harry says he probably would have cried if he didn't finish. Someone else, yeah, seems like a decent number of people. Adore Josu 91 says, LOL, if you search on Google for Mike Brady, the first thing that pops up is a fictional character, Mike Brady. Yeah, I have not built my personal brand big enough to beat what was probably the most popular show of the 70s or 60s or whenever the hell that show was out.
What is Mike Brady?
You don't really? The Brady Bunch?
There was a Mike?
Yeah, the dad was Mike Brady.
The dad was Mike Brady.
He was an architect. I know that because my name is my last name is Brady. I have to have seen the show.
Do you know I've actually seen I don't know if I've seen every episode, but I've seen most of the episodes of that show.
Oh, that shocks me.
Someone on Stars, Ryan, I found your clip. Can I send it to you on Stars? Yes. I have no idea what you're talking about, but yes, send it to me on Twitter. Yeah, did you ever watch Nick at Night? Do you know what Nick at Night is?
Yeah, of course.
I grinded that shit religiously. Like I love Lucy was my favorite. Like Lucille Ball was actually probably like my first favorite comedian. I didn't even know what a comedian was, but like I just knew that like I fucking loved her. All right, Doug's popping it up. Price of poker going to 12. Grindy folds. That's probably good. He's probably bluffing. Yeah. So what were the shows that I watched? The Addams Family.
Do you watch Gilligan's Island?
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, I watched that one a lot.
Andy Griffith Show. Man, I can't. I'm sure there's like 3 or 4 others that like I've seen, because you know what they would do is every night they would pick like an old show and they would run just like 8 episodes of that old show. And I would just stay up all night and just watch them all night.
They were in order too, right? So like it would end and then the next one would be continuing the story. So how can you leave?
There was Netflix, yeah. Bewitched, absolutely. Yep. Bewitched.
Question from, sorry, I missed your name, but loving the stream with fees. If Negreanu somehow wins, does that change your opinion on him and or old school players? Not old school players. I'll judge on an individual basis. Personally, I'm really I've gained a lot more respect for Negreanu just for him taking this challenge. The results are like almost irrelevant, but the fact that he has been clearly studying and he's hanging tough, that yeah, I certainly have more respect for him. There are certain parts about him that I still certainly don't like, but a lot of them are in the past, so I can mostly overlook them. What about you, Faye?
I don't think I can say until the challenge completes. So for the time being, I have to keep my mouth shut on this one. But I will definitely answer that question when the challenge is over. Sorry to be anticlimactic. Mork and Mindy. I don't know Mork and Mindy.
I thought that was like a new show, but maybe I must be. Oh no,
Leave the Fever, Wonder Years. Never saw Hogan's Heroes. Never saw MASH. What was Robin Williams' first one? Oh, interesting. Yeah, I Love Lucy, Ricky. Like, I saw a couple episodes of what was the guy that like always like wanted to like punch his wife to the moon? What was that show called? Honeymooners. Yeah, I saw a couple of the Honeymooners. Not a ton of those.
Two-pair value that gets through on the 4-pair board. Yeah.
It's nice like value. Weird 2-pair winning like a nice size spot. Like Doug 3 bets. Flops a whole bunch of everything. Gets to the river, bets, and yeah, probably gets some nice juicy value versus king. Married with Children. Yeah, but Married with Children wasn't it wasn't on Nick and Night. It was on like, I don't even know, FX or something different. Everyone really liked Married with Children. I thought it was okay. There were like some Al Bundy lines that were unreal, but like I felt like, I don't know. Didn't keep me going. Negreanu over bets? Bets flop, then over bets turn. Have we seen this yet out of him?
Yeah, there's been a couple of these. He did this like, I want to say 20 minutes ago or so on a similar situation where it's like a pretty dynamic turn. Doug does call. Doug's going to be pretty heavy with queens, some high flush draws, pair plus flush draw type hands.
Flush draw, yeah.
Daniel's, wow, 2-pair for Doug.
Daniel checks. Doug wins the pot with 2-pair.
You love to see the in Doug's shoes there. You turn that bottom 2, and then you see the overbet from Daniel. That is like almost the best possible thing you could see, because you do expect to basically always be good, especially considering you're not blocking a queen, which is going to be a lot of his value range.
You guys are 2 years older than me and watched all the shows my grandparents watched. I mean, we were getting warmed up to be professional online poker players. I would play Nintendo, like the shooting. I forget what it was, like the duck shooting game in Nintendo. And then once I like ran out of stamina for that, it was just immediately.
You don't remember what the duck shooting game was called?
No.
You don't remember?
What's it called?
Duck. It's one more word.
Duck shot? Yeah.
No.
It was not duck shot?
It's duck shot. It's duck shot.
It's duck shot. Hang on. Are you sure? I need to verify. Did you have that game?
No, but it's like a pretty infamous in like video game history or whatever. So, and I used to be enough of a nerd to watch like G4 Network and all that, and that new.
Yeah, no, it's called Duck Hunt. It's called Duck Hunt.
Yeah, I know. I do. I was.
Duck Hunt. Yeah, guys, you have no idea how epic this game is. Like, can I put this on my screen? Let me see. It was what? Oh, because the TVs are different now.
Yeah,
it's kind of insane that you know that. So I don't know if you can see that. This is what it looked like. This is like the box or whatever. And yeah, so like, I mean, just the fact that you would have like a video game console for your TV was like unreal. It was like the thought of it. Like, I remember probably the hardest I've like ever convulsed at Christmas was I got like a box of like Dagobah Star Wars cards for like my like 10th or 11th like Christmas. But then the second hardest was like 7 or 8, and I got a Super Nintendo.
Doug is gonna win a nice little pot here. I assume this was Can we replay this one?
No, Negreanu has nothing. Let me run it.
Was that a 4-bet pot that checked down, or
3-bet call? Negreanu checks, delay C-bet, and then just gives it up. Yeah.
Gotcha.
How old are you? I'm 32. So, but yeah, when I was like around 8 years old, my grandparents somehow had a regular Nintendo, and they had like the original Madden, and they had Duck Hunt, and yeah, it was unreal to like have like a controller and play video games. but it was like it was the most next level thing. It was like the gap between like the rest of like activities in my life, like how cool they were, and like how cool duck hunt was. Like there had never been like a bigger gap to be able to like shoot something on your screen.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine how much that would have changed things.
It's just like, yeah, I couldn't like. And then I don't even think like Super Nintendo or even N64 had like very many screen interactive games like after that.
There was just a. Are you interested in video game history and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure.
There's a really good Netflix series that just came out. I think it's called like High Score. I blew through it. It was Doug with the double full house on the left, winning a small pot.
Maybe too many boats.
Too many boats indeed. Yeah, check that out. It's like High Score or something on Netflix. It's really good. It kind of touches on just like the whole history. It's pretty interesting.
Did you ever play Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah, I played the cube one the most randomly. Melee, I think, is what that one was.
So there's an unbelievable. Well, I thought it was unbelievable because it was like my niche, so like I couldn't put it down. And it also really reminded me of my childhood. I didn't play Smash, but I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And this game called VS System. And just like the way the character, like now everything's online, so you just play with everybody. But back then, like you would play these regional tournaments, and then you'd hear about this kid that was like really good in New York or really good in Maryland, and like I was the kid that was like really good in Philly. So I'd be like, oh man, like I really want to go to New York and like play that kid. But I don't even know what it's called. Just Super Smash Bros. Documentary. It's like 4 hours long. It's an unreal saga about how Super Smash Brothers, like the competitive scene, evolved. And yeah, it was like super raw. Like these kids were like carrying like these giant CRT TVs to like their buddy's house and like setting them up like next to each other and like battling. Like they would call it STD, Smash Till Dawn.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's especially good because they would talk about like different play styles, and you'd be like, oh, I know that guy in Polk. I know that guy like in poker, like, you know, like the maniac, like the super like repetition, like, you know, very practiced down to a T type guy.
Wait, not to cut you off, but do you happen to have your I don't want to like reveal what it is. Your Yu-Gi-Oh item?
Yes. Do you want me to get it?
How close is it? Yeah, go grab it. So the chat's gonna love this. At least the ones who know that game. He was a serious Yu-Gi-Oh player, guys. Before he was a poker player, he was playing a different kind of cards. The heart of the cards. That didn't really make sense, but it was a reference. Overbet here from Doug on a pretty dynamic board. It's gonna get through. Doug's had a little bit of a comeback here. He was probably stuck 210K or so overall at one point. Sorry for that alarm. About 210K overall, and now he's probably made back some nominal amount, maybe 40K or so. 40, 50K. Rich Lich Glitch, good name, asks, don't a lot of successful poker players have history in other games? Yes, it's very common. Games or sports. There's also like a common thing to see where it's like a sports player that got hurt and they couldn't play the sport anymore, so they like picked up poker. Good example of that, Nick Petrangelo. Really good example of that.
For those of you that want to geek out with me for a minute, yeah. So this, unfortunately, there's a plastic piece that would sort of like hold this together that broke, but it's meant to sort of like be like this. And this is I like won this season at my store, probably the biggest store in Philly. Like I don't know, however many years ago. And yeah, if you won that, and I like played like every week, and I was obsessed. That was honestly, it's kind of how I got my start in poker, really. And weirdly enough, too, like now that I'm like so old and I've been through kind of everything, that is of all of sort of like the tokens, like, so I have that thing. Oh, you know what else I have?
While he's grabbing that, someone's asked a few times, how much does Doug have of himself? Doug's probably got over like 70%. He did not sell much for this challenge.
I don't know if you see. So back in the day, they used to give you giant novelty checks when you win a tournament, and I somehow am just beyond blessed that I won my first ever live tournament. I got a giant novelty check. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think my giant novelty check. I was gonna say the Yu-Gi-Oh thing is sort of like my most prized sort of token, but I actually think it's the giant novelty check.
Amazing.
But the Yu-Gi-Oh thing's a close second, man. Like it's just, I don't know. Like it was just so. When you sort of like move up through the ranks and stuff, like all of the accomplishments become less. I don't know. They just like impact you less.
Mm-hmm.
So like, when you like when I would do stuff early, like whoa, we got a big pot.
Yeah, double barrel gets through for Daniel on the left there.
It's a 4-bet pot.
I don't think 4-bet because he makes a 10K pre. He I think he called a 3-bet and then either called flop or bet flop.
Yeah, big bet.
Yeah, but yeah, that makes sense. So like as your career goes on, like
right.
your sort of accomplishments, like they're not as much of a
yeah.
They're not as notable. They don't stick in your mind. So it makes sense that like winning a Yu-Gi-Oh trophy at a store in Philadelphia actually stands out over like, you know, winning. I mean, you've won a high roller at a WPT event, though it did have like 11 players, but still.
Yeah. I don't know. You can see. I don't know if you can see them, but I have like all my poker stuff is up there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have 1, 2, 3, 5 trophies.
Big time flex.
Yeah. Probably the poker thing is probably well, I guess this thing would probably be like that thing, the Yu-Gi-Oh thing, and then the bracelet. But oh shit, Daniel wins with 2 pair. What happened here? It's a weird one.
Yeah, recap that one.
Sure. Raise call. Daniel flops middle pair and a flush draw. Looks like he just bombed it twice. Yep. Makes 2 pair, bombs it twice. He's good. But yeah, when I was like a kid, so anyway, like yeah, there was something about it's. I don't know. I feel kind of bad. I feel bad for the kids that come up playing Hearthstone or even like Fortnite or whatever now. There's like mass sort of like online thing and everything. Like you're just always in your bedroom. You never like go there. It's never like the scarcity of like having to like drive to like get a match. And then kind of like not knowing who's going to show up or like how good everybody was or like whatever.
Yeah, dude, I used to be I played in a few of those types of tournaments, like whatever game I was into at the time, and I remember being like super nervous the days of. Like it was a good growth experience, honestly.
Yeah.
Pot size delay c-bet from Doug on the right here. As we've said before, Daniel's probably and Doug will check pretty much every time on an ace turn when they're out of position and the other player check back on the flop because the player's going to check back a lot of ace highs. Doug going for the river bet on the left here. He's got a straight, 4 straight board.
Somebody asked me who the best player in New York was. I forget his name. It was too long ago. There's one kid named Dustin, who had just like a ridiculously hot girlfriend, and I was just like in awe of this guy when I was like 14 or something. I was like, I don't know how you're doing this. Like he was super good at VS and just had like just the hottest girlfriend. I was like, I don't know like what you're doing, man, but like keep doing it. There was one guy, Dave Brent, who's kind of like my mentor. He played the games. He was also sort of like he was like a judge. There's one guy, Paul Reaney, he's actually from Maryland, but he was absurdly smart. Now he's like a math teacher, but he was just always like a super top-notch player.
At which game? Sorry.
Reaney was good at Yu-Gi-Oh and VS. Jason Huang was I've talked to him as like an adult now, like 10 years later. He was like I don't know if he was like deaf or like what. He had like some speech thing that like made it kind of tough, but he was like part of our crew. He was really, really good. He's a New York guy. I think Bryn actually played, but Bryn played Magic. So
Bryn Kenny, for those of you who don't know, high stakes poker player.
Yeah, he was like a New York Magic guy, and like I don't know if I don't think I ever like I could have been in the same room with him, but I never met him. Because yeah, like the Magic and the sort of Yu-Gi-Oh VS world are a little bit segregated. But yeah.
Doug going for the bet here. Daniel, I believe, bet the flop, and looks like Doug's value betting with 2 pair. Daniel bet the flop there and then check back the turn. Daniel with his usual min size that he likes to use on a lot of flops. Doesn't always use it. Sometimes he goes for 15. Sorry. Sometimes he goes for 1500 into 2K, but he also uses 400.
I have a question for you, Jimmy, and honestly, kind of like the whole chat. So, the first time I ever played live poker, I might have snuck into an Atlantic City casino once or twice, but the first time I played like a meaningful live poker session, I went to Turning Stone with a couple friends, and I remember, and I like, yeah, just like playing in a casino or just playing like 1-2 no limit. And I remember just being like super wired. There was something about the act of playing in a casino that like I was just like super wired. Like I would just play the whole time, then I would go try. It was like way past my bedtime. I tried to go to sleep. I like couldn't sleep. I woke up, and then I would, uh, like be like, "Fuck! I'm awake. I can't sleep." But I'm like tired and this weird wired thing, and I would go back and I would play. I'd play more poker and be like, "Okay, now certainly I'll be able to sleep." Right. And no, still nothing. And just like for 3 days, I was just basically awake. Some combination of eating, playing poker, and trying but failing to sleep. And it was
that does not sound super fun. Well, about a third of it does.
Is that yeah?
I'm actually curious what this is going to be quite a lot for the chat, so brace yourself.
Go for it.
Where is the first place? All of you lovely people watching and using the chat, where's the first place you played live poker? And feel free to not say like where it is. Doug with the top pair on the left winning a nice sized pot.
Does home games count, or does it have to be a casino?
Yeah, let's do like an official.
I feel like casino, some sort of something that's maybe like an EPT or.
Yeah, it has to be. It can't be like a home game unless it. I don't know. Let's just say no home game.
Yeah, no home game. Foxwoods. Jimmy, where'd you grow up? Wow. Where were you? Were you playing? Where were you playing?
Imperial Palace in Vegas. That is an answer I did not expect. Wow, fantastic. Good one. Who was that? I got to give you a shout out at least.
Playboy.
Adam Clevinger. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
It was the end of. Oh man, I think it was the end of 2007.
Doug potting the river on the right with 2 pair. It's getting called for a little 10K pot.
All right, we'll take it. It was around the back half, somewhere in the back half of 2007. Because I remember I was playing 1-2 online, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll play like 1-2 live," and I won. I think I won 2K over the weekend, and it was like a meaningful amount of money for my bankroll. So, yeah, it was a lot. It was certainly like a lot to take in. A lot to take in. A lot of fun. Yeah, it really was. I remember they had a 5-10 game, and I remember thinking like, whoa, like there was something about 5-10 live that just seemed very intimidating at the time.
It's definitely a level. 2-5 to 5-10 is like a big feeling jump, especially if you're in a casino that uses $10 chips. That like really feels like you're moving up. Daniel betting in a check down pot on the right there. Bet gets through.
Wow, got Primordial. He played an MTT in San Remo when he was still too young to play in the States. Yeah, I actually know a couple guys that went over to Europe. They're like 18 to 21 to go play in some like very high. They couldn't like 2-5 lives. Like like 10K like Euro main event in like Barcelona or something. They're like, yeah, sure, take a seat.
That heads up sit and go money, funding a little trip to Remo. It sounds like.
Have you ever played in Reno?
Are you saying Remo or Reno?
Reno. I thought you said Remo. I see.
Uh,
Yeah.
I thought San Remo, isn't that in Italy or something? Bet from Daniel into the 3K pot on the right. 4 flush small bet gets through on the left for Daniel. Both bets get through.
Primordial, the sit and go guy. Indeed. Indeed, it is the sit and go guy.
I hate to call you up. I hate to call you up, by the way, Primo, but I remember a tweet from like a few years ago from you, where you said after busting the 10K heads up WSOP event, you said something like, "I'm gonna win this one day." Hasn't happened yet. I just wanted to remind you that the people know, so you have to like keep trying.
Yeah. Never give up. Never
you did catch that one, by the way.
Did you play? So you grew up playing Turning Stone, or sorry, not Turning Stone, Morongo.
Casino right? Morongo. Yeah, that was my spot.
Are there any other like California reg spots you would hit up, like Commerce or the Bike?
When I got big bet from Doug on the right here, big C bet gets called. I played at the Bike when I was under 21, so that was like my other grind spot. Like I got a fake ID and then it worked at the Bike, so I like just like hit lock and I was like, okay, I'm only going to the Bike because I know it works. And that was apparently a wise decision because I got sniped the first time I went to Commerce. They took my ID away, said I can't come back. Overbet from Doug on the right, that gets through.
Takes it
7-8-9 board. Primo says too many kids to play the WSOP heads up. A likely excuse. They'll have to grow up eventually, and then you got to hop in there. Hallrich65 asks, just joined. Has Daniel slowly grinded down Polk, or was it a massive pot that put him down so much? Yeah, we'll give you a quick recap of the session. I think we're due. The guys, they might be wrapping up in a minute, by the way, because the first possible stop point is 4:30. But if the players agree to keep playing, they will keep playing. Yeah, so Doug was maybe up like a little bit out of the gate, like 10K, some really nominal amount. Then Daniel won a couple big pots. Most notably, Doug 3-bet with Ace Jack offsuit. The board ran out something like King
8-5.
Yeah, we're kind of pulling this out of our ass, but it was like we know the important cards, and it was King 8-5, Queen. So Doug turns the gutter. There's a flush draw on the board. River's a brick. Doug shoved, and Daniel had King 10 for a pair of kings called down. So that was like an 80K pot or so. Then the other large pot was a 90K pot where Daniel 3-bet with King Queen offsuit. Doug called with Jack 10 of hearts. The flop came King 10-5 with 2 hearts. Daniel c-bet small. Doug raised small. Daniel called, and then they ended up getting it on the turn. Doug bet the turn. Daniel shoved. So it was just a top pair versus a pair and a flush draw, and Daniel held up on that one. So Daniel running slightly better, at least in all-ins today. He's been running not great in those throughout the challenge. He's been more of a card distribution guy, which is a very, very savvy approach. You want the better cards. And then, yeah, so Daniel ended up peaking at around probably 220 he was up. And then right now, he's still up mid 6 figures, like 150 or so. Our estimate in the middle is probably off by a bit. It's been a while since we've updated it as well, but something like 130, 150K Daniel's up right now. So Doug's grinding it back a little bit. That would be the narrative.
Yeah, a little bit of grinding it back. I mean, look, grinding has exactly 200K on this table. So, I mean, we're almost at a win.
True.
We can get to 199, like, put in the books. So we got a W.
Oh, yeah, just got reminded. There was a hand where Doug flatted queens versus a 3-bet. The flop came 7-6-5, 2 spades. And then it went Daniel bets small, Doug raises, Daniel shoves with ace king of spades. So it's like a flip. He has 2 overs with a flush draw. Doug had the queens, and Daniel hit the flush on the river. So that was the other big pot.
3-bet pot checks all the way down. Daniel bets 5,600. Could have a straight. Most more probably has a jack. Doug calls. No, he's got a queen. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do I feel about winning my debt with D? Well, we have to win 1.2 million now in how many hands? 9K hands, 30 buy-ins and 9K hands. 4, 3. Say 3 point. About tree fitty. I think we're at about tree fitty.
Top pair for Daniel wins a nice size pot on the left there. Looks like they're going past the 2-hour mark, by the way.
What up, T Grinder? How's it going, fam?
Prospectorus, when you say they are playing longer, did they like tweet or something? Do you know something we don't, or are you just guessing because they went past 4:30? I'll be right back. No. I'm having a good time. I wish Doug was winning.
I cannot speak any Italian, unfortunately. I've almost mastered English, but that's unfortunately about it.
Hope Jones asked, did they settle their dispute about a replayer? Yeah, there wasn't, honestly, disputes even over stating what happened, which is, I mean, just Bill Perkins tweeting it out at all overstated like the level of significance of this. It was basically just Daniel and Doug were talking about what does the word data mining mean, because it's against the rules in Nevada, and Doug basically just responded by saying what he does, which is he reviews the hands in the replayer after the sessions. And Daniel just sort of wanted to be like, okay, I didn't really think about that. Let's this is my impression of it, by the way. I don't know for sure, but let's just have a discussion about what exactly is and isn't allowed, because I hadn't thought about that specifically. So it was just like, basically, we need to have a discussion to iron some stuff out. Barely a discrepancy even, but it kind of got blown up with that tweet from Bill Perkins. Made it seem like a bigger deal than it was. They literally hammered out in like a 20-minute Zoom call. Turn bet gets called on the left. Quick bet from Daniel. Quick call from Doug. Daniel's going to get paid with his flush.
Flush is good. And back down the hole we go. Did you ever have all 5 pieces of Exodia? Yes. I had a couple sets of Exodia, actually. Also, one of my fondest Yu-Gi-Oh memories was the day Yada Garasu came out, I didn't know what it was. I just pulled it out of like a pack that I bought, and then I just completely I won a bunch of the tournaments, but that was like the tournament that I don't think I lost like a single game. I just couldn't. I would just search for Yada, play it, and just win.
3-bet pot on the right. Doug checks.
Queen 9-7, 2 spades.
And you know my Twitter handle. I can answer that. I know it. It's at mbradycf. What do you fee? Ryan at Ryan Fee Poker.
Ryan Fee Poker.
Yeah, if you have any questions or if you just want to follow us, head on over at Mike Brady or at mbradycf and at Ryan Fee Poker.
Doug check calls a small one here. Queen 9-7, 2 spades. Now 3 spades.
4 spades now.
Daniel, we got 4 spades out there. Probably good news for Doug. See what he goes for here on the river. 0 chips out of Doug. See what we get from Negreanu. 2,400 chips. Doug has a flush. Negreanu also has a flush.
Oh, so Negreanu went for the small value bet there.
But Doug went for a bigger flush. Yep.
Wow, interesting.
Doug calls a raise. Queen 6-5. Got 2 diamonds, 2 spades now.
FR Empire AK asks, how long will they play? It's kind of up in the air. Once they go past the 2-hour mark, it is up to the players for how long they want to play. Last time they went past the 2-hour mark, which has only happened one other time on Monday, they played for 3.5 hours. So that would be going for another hour and a half from here.
Whoa.
If that repeats.
Doug with the super trap.
Doug with a very strong hand, putting 0 chips in the pot.
Does not work out for him.
I think he planned to put some in, should Daniel bet, but we can't say for sure.
Yeah, maybe he just rolls the 99, just lets it go, but we'll never know. 3-3-3. It's an interesting board. We have a 40% bet here from Doug. Ronnie calls, turns deuce.
Someone asked a couple minutes ago, is everyone excited for High Stakes Poker? For those of you who don't know, High Stakes Poker coming back. Sort of. I mean, it's not the exact same, but it is still the same name of the show and same sort of idea, playing cash games with famous players. Rumor has it they don't have the bricks of cash this year, though, so I don't know if that's going to affect your viewing habits. But yeah, should be a good one. Doug actually gets in there for at least one episode, so that'll be pretty cool to see. Kind of a fish out of water. He doesn't play too much 9-handed or what 8-handed, whatever cash.
Do you have any idea when that will air?
I think it's December 6th on Poker Go, but yeah, their site knows. I guess I can just look.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I have it on good authority that Doug played a very interesting hand on there, and
yes,
I'd love to see it happen in real time or recorded real time.
Premiering Wednesday, December 16th is the first episode. I don't know exactly how they're releasing it. Hopefully all at once. Is Sammy going to be there? I do not know. But I do know who's commentating. They're bringing back the originals. Gabe Kaplan, AJ Menza, I believe.
Oh, really?
I believe so. Yeah. So kind of got that aura back. Norm Macdonald it was interesting to have him, but I wasn't super on board. I think it was really just one commentator. Wasn't enough for that show.
Yeah, it was weird. I felt like Gabe and AJ kind of had like a pretty good flow for that end. Hey, Doug is a straight. I'm like a gigantic Norm fan, but I don't know if like poker is like his lane. It's also I don't know if it's like a great format for Norm. I've definitely rewatched like all my favorite like Norm highlights during COVID. Although I've pretty much rewatched like half of YouTube's entire library during COVID. So
yeah, every show you've ever liked, you've seen it in COVID.
I was
rewatching every podcast.
I'm probably gonna go through all of Chappelle's specials again. I rewatched Killing Them Softly last night. Did you ever see Killing Them Softly?
Is it a stand-up special or movie?
Chappelle's first stand-up special before Chappelle.
Yeah, maybe not. Oh, there's also a movie by that name, so that's tricky.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this is his first one. It was
DDM Poker, sorry to interrupt you. So it's only going to be the highlighted hands or all the hands? Are you talking about on High Stakes Poker? If so, it's just like a cut together show, just like it used to be. It's not like a live stream of it with just like all the raw folds and all that. We're just going to get the interesting hands or whatever. They're making like 16 episodes though, so I'm sure there'll be some trivial hands in there too. I personally like when there's some trivial spots in those shows. Don't just want to see what people do when, they have trip 10s and they're against a straight or whatever. It's not super interesting to only see those hands.
Are you still in South Africa? I am not. I've been back in the US for a while, but it's starting to get cold here, so I'm considering going back to South Africa. How much money have you made from poker? About $350.
About $350 here as well.
Yeah. It's been a good run. We got a delay C bet on monotone board here from Doug on the left-hand table. Run you in the tank. Call.
It's a diamond on the river. That is going to be a little better for Daniel, I reckon.
Probably, yeah. You'd imagine he's going to be forced to check a number of diamonds back and then call them on the turn. See what happens. Doug goes for, looks like 66%. Hey, he takes it down.
My read is Doug was bluffing there. That's my personal read on that spot.
I sure hope so. Ryan, do you live in Cape Town? I do not, but I am considering going back. Is anybody here from South Africa? I'd be kind of amazed. I don't think I met a single poker player like the entire time I was in South Africa.
6,500 people. There's got to be. The expectation has to be a yes. The problem is we don't know if they're going to lie or not.
They're going to lie. They're going to lie.
Gemini 666 had quite. I'm going to read that comment as truth. It seems like truth. They seemed honestly shocked that they were being asked that they live in South Africa. So.
Wow, Gemini, what part of South Africa are you in? Yeah, okay. Now everybody else from here on out is going to be trolling.
We are all from Africa. Now someone says it's even less specific. Just Africa now, not even a country.
Actually, everybody.
Were you there? I don't want to go too far down this road, but just real quick.
Shoot.
Some people don't know that this happened too. It's just a hilarious concept. So at EDC, did you see that? Were you there when Bill Nye, the science guy, opened EDC with like literally like a 25-minute talk about how there's no race and that we're all one?
What? No.
Yeah, dude, it was unreal. Just like it was like thousands of these fucking kids, including myself, like about to party, like really excited. Doug bluffing on the left and Daniel calling with trips.
Trips.
Bluffing. Yeah, so it was like, all this hype, like these people are about to go into this festival, probably do drugs or alcohol, whatever, really excited, and then they just like pause it, totally grind it to a halt, and then Bill Nye's giving like a science-based like lecture for like 30 minutes. It was the most bizarre thing. If you just want to see one of the most bizarre things, like Google Bill Nye, the science guy, EDC. That was super weird to live through.
I don't know. I feel like there's people like, I thought
Sorry to cut you off, but raise from Daniel on the right. They're going to chop it up. All right, go on. Sorry.
I thought a lot of people they're like Post Malone did a set at EDC, and I was like, bro, don't do that. And DJ Khaled did a set, and I was like, come on, man, this is not your lane. I feel like the only one that I've seen where like somebody like hopped in like kind of out of their element that was pretty solid was I think it was 2015. It was whatchamacallit, Bryan Cranston.
When he like came out with Above and Beyond and just like said a word essentially because they use it in one of their songs. Yeah, I remember that. I wasn't at that set, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I was at that set. Yeah, I thought that was really solid because like it was like Breaking Bad had just ended in like spectacular fashion, and then he just like comes out of the woodwork to just like they have the song called like Press the Button, and he like presses the button, and yeah, everyone lost it. It was real sweet. Also, it was in Kinetic Field. Like they like shut all the lights down, they shut the music off, just like 100,000 kids. Just in like was weird, like super high energy, but like also kind of peaceful, and like everybody sees like Bryan Cranston. Like I thought that was really sweet, but
it must have been bizarre for the people who were really fucked up. Like
what?
I was just watching Breaking Bad. Doug with a quick King High Hero call on the right.
Hey, good job, Doug.
Mayon33 asks, what do you guys think is the most common mistake novice heads-up players make? Definitely pre-flop. They don't open enough hands, don't defend enough hands. Usually the defending in particular. Intuitively, I think a lot of people don't realize you're supposed to defend like, depending on the size, you're so often supposed to defend like upwards of 70% of hands. And a lot of people settle around like 50, 40 when they're first playing heads-up. That's just like the amount of hands that feels worth playing, but it's actually a lot more when you look into it. You agree, Faye?
Doug has a Canadian full house, and that's good to go.
3 pairs.
We'll take it. Yeah, they kind of think about how they would play like a button big blind and like 6 max, and it's the fact there's another player with a small blind there. It's like dramatically different.
And you've posted a small blind or a big blind, either way. Like you have a lot of money in the pot compared to what you have to call or put in to raise. So you get to play a lot of hands.
It's the best, no doubt about it. Gemini is in Cape Town near Blolber Strand. So he's definitely from there. And then also Super Tubes used to live at Sea Point, which is where I used to live. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that is also a value bet. So we have two. Well, I guess he doesn't. I don't know if he still lives there, but we have two value bets, two South African value bets in the chat right now. Fia, I listened to you wager all your money on Doug. Now my kids are going to starve. Hey man, at least I'm going to be there starving with them. So maybe Negreanu will send us a vegan goodie bag for the road. Negreanu 4 bets takes it down.
We haven't updated the thing in a while. What do chat? What do you reckon is the score right now?
My guess is Daniel plus 140. Oh no, he won that.
I think Daniel's in for like
140.
Yeah, I think it's close. I think our tracker's close. We just haven't updated it since 4, so I want to update that so people don't think it's like super outdated. I think Daniel's in for like 100K, like in that ballpark. Maybe like 120 at the most, maybe 90 at the least. So I'd say 100. So if he's in for 100, he's got 166. So that'd be like 140, or 160. Math. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's an estimate, guys. We'll keep an eye on either Doug's Twitter. He tweets out the results at the end of every session. Like usually takes him a few minutes, and then at least. And then if you want to just not have to worry about Twitter, which I don't blame you for not wanting to go on there, go to upswingpoker.com/HU for grudge. We're updating that page after each session with the results once we actually get the hard totals from Doug.
Ace Jack 2. Sorry, Ace Jack 8, turn 2. Doug 3-bet, C-bet. 16K in the pot. Things could be spicy. Doug picks up a small with a jack. Doug bets turn.
It's a large bet.
At this point, Doug has a very strong hand or a draw. Daniel has a medium strength hand or a draw.
Could have some strong hands, but the top of Daniel's range is a lot weaker of a hand than the top of Doug's.
For the love of God, let Doug have the 3-4 of diamonds versus ace 8 one time.
We have an official 4-3 of diamonds versus ace 8 prediction.
Please God, son of a bitch. Doug doesn't have anything.
Probably not. Could see him maybe going for something cagey with like, maybe not. I think he's usually giving up.
Yep. Yeah, that's how it goes. Bet check, not good. What do you think the highest stakes heads up zoom Daniel would beat?
I'm not really familiar with those pools, so I'm not sure.
I am going to say that there's not a recreational player in the pool, so he's just out there battling, and I do not think he would beat 500. Maybe
500 is pretty tough these days.
Yeah, so I do not think he would do well in the Zoom pools. What do you think the most common leak in decent mid-tier heads-up players versus pros capitalize on? Mostly just like hand efficiency, fighting for a lot of pots, playing really tough generally, bluffing a lot, calling a lot.
Cole S57, no, I almost certainly can't beat 500. I don't really play poker anymore. Used to.
What did you like more, sit and goes or cash?
I had more fun. So I played heads up sit and goes and heads up cash, just for those who aren't following that. I think I enjoyed the heads up sit and go portion of my career more. It's a really exciting game, but heads up cash was definitely like, I don't know. I felt like it was in the big leagues when I was playing like mid to high stakes heads up cash. Doug bluffing on the left, Daniel looking him up with the jacks.
Doug just goes for the probe and barrel. 9-4. No good. Honestly, good hand all around. Are you still confident Doug will win? Yes. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Honestly, like the thing is, how does it work, by the way? If they get when they get to 12,500 hands, and then Negreanu's like, all right, I want 12,500 more. Is it, can he quit after like 5,000 more hands, or does they have to lock in for the whole thing?
I think it's locked once it gets going. What's up, Fee? Is DNegs up 110?
Oh my God, Corey Eisenhart. Is that the real Corey Eisenhart? I mean, I feel like it must be. I mean, yeah, it's obviously the best card game ever is VS System. Holy shit, man! I completely am blown away that you are somehow in the chat right now. But yeah, dude, it's definitely VS System. I miss it to death. Are you gonna challenge Daniel after this? Maybe challenge him to heads up PLO. But he's down 4 binds. I mean, sometimes you just drink that Kool-Aid, man. You just drink the Doug Polk Kool-Aid and you believe. It actually is really sad that, well, I guess he wouldn't. I mean, honestly, I don't know if Doug would tilt, but I'm sure.
Another nice shot for Daniel on the left there.
Yeah, if you're.
What do you say about tilting?
It would just be funny to see Doug tilt the way he tilted them. I don't think he would, but the way he would tilt them. That's the thing that I think a lot of guys would have like a really tough time understanding, is that like Doug would be like way more tilted streaming a bankroll challenge, and he would be like losing 200K to Negreanu in this challenge.
Yes, I agree.
It's not always going to be like that, but when everyone's like, why don't you? When everyone in the chat is like, hey man, why don't you stop bluffing? And what site is this? And can you please turn on your HUD? Like,
right.
All day, every day. Like, yeah, you just start to lose your fucking mind. Like, Corey, what are you up to these days? And how much, you must be a poker player, right? Like, how much poker do you play? How much poker do you play?
3-bet pot on the left. Doug's checking an ace high board. Not a good sign for Doug.
I think the ace low boards are the ones that you might see some more checking, like ace 7-2, ace 10-9. I think you see a lot of bets, but I think the 2 low board. Actually, maybe that's a PLO concept. I can't remember. I do know that is true in PLO.
Wires starting to get crossed though.
You're not a huge what?
Wires are starting to get crossed.
Yeah. Too many sims. Daniel bets small and bombs it on the turn. Doug has 2 shitty cards. Let's go.
Daniel really cruising this session, has really not had too much go wrong for him at all. I reckon he's up. I think he could be up almost 200K right now.
God, I hope somehow like a Doug Barry Woods. Honestly, it should be Ryan Barry Woods. Like, I need to get my revenge on that old fuck. He like hits. I think he like wanted to play it. I think he wanted to play, and he like. I thought he wanted to stream it, but he didn't. He just wanted to like play me. This is like right before I left LA, and I was like, "Sorry, man. Like, I'm leaving, but like, if I ever come back, you got it."
Sure basis for Daniel winning a small pot on the left. Yeah, that bluff that's a good one. That was a good bluff by him.
Yeah. Did you see the YouTube video that me and Doug made about that hand?
Oh yeah. I think I did. I mean, how would I not?
It's one of my favorite endings. I'm like a little bit biased because I'm in it, but it's one of my favorite endings because we did like the Simpsons, like where Bart in the beginning, he's like he's in detention. He's like, I will not like whatever. He like writes the thing like over and over and over again.
Sorry, say that one more time. I was reading someone saying that you got worked on LATV versus Barry.
Yeah, very good. Um, where the beginning of the intro of the Simpsons, where
When he's writing stuff. Yeah,
yeah, he like writes like the same thing on the board over and over. That's how like we ended it. It's like I will not fold to Barry Woods. I will not fold to Barry Woods.
good stuff.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just like in the Simpsons intro, there like every episode, Bart was like in detention, writing something like writing something on the board over and over and over again. Stole that and did it in the end of his video. But
Pair of threes wins a small pot for Doug on the right.
yeah, that Barry Woods was Barry Woods. At the time, I just thought this is like some old dude. Like he 4-bet me. Like I got to get the fuck out of Dodge. And yeah, let's learn. Did you ever go up against Uncle Abe at Live at the Bike? I did not. I think he's a super old school Live at the Bike guy, right? I think maybe he was a little bit before my time.
Matthew Bird. Oh, King High Call completely ignored by the two commentaries. What a surprise. I did not see the King High Call. I'm going to assume Daniel made it because you are upset about our bias. Check raise from DNeggs. Once again, you are upset about the bias. You're watching on YouTube, on the Doug Polk Poker YouTube channel, complaining about pro Doug bias.
And you're right to be offended.
Just recapping. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
All right, Doug calls. We got a river in a very unusual spot here. What's Negreanu going to do? He bets 2/3. Doug either is going, or he's got a boat and he's like, yes. Or maybe a bluff and he's like, See what happens. For the love of God, raise. Raise. Please raise.
I was going to say, I don't think Doug has the tank raise. I think once he goes into that tank, he's calling or folding.
God fucking damn it. I knew we wanted the raise. Can we like take our money back and raise? Oh man, I can't replay it. Whatever. I think it was like bet small, raise. Bet.
Do you believe that DNeggs has a chance to actually surprise the world? Sure, most certainly.
That's possible. There's a lot of variance in heads-up poker.
Yeah, I mean, even if you believe the odds, which were, a lot of people thought were too long, some people thought they were fine. It's 4-1. That still means Daniel wins 20%. That if that's not a chance, I don't know what is. But yeah, of course he has a chance.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance. All right, stream. I need to go. I need to go see a man about a horse. It's been real. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good luck to Doug, and yeah, have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Ryan. I will captain this.
All right, it's all you.
Yeah.
I believe. Plus, like, I'm pretty sure every moment that I've watched Doug has lost, so I'm pretty sure like Doug's gonna win like 100K call to sesh. So I'm.
Yes, so some people did theorize that you're the bad luck charm here.
Must be. All right, boys. Peace.
So now we're mainly going to talk about poker because I don't have anyone to shoot the shit with. 2 single race pots here. Check on the right. Oh, my video's gone too. He'll get it back. It's because everything moves around when everything moves around when someone leaves. Ooh, there I am. Doug winning a small pot with the 10s there. Daniel just 7 high. Daniel going for the river pro bluff there, or rather river stab. It was checked down. Doug putting in a delay C bet on the left. That gets through. That was a good one. Someone just timed out a funny chat. That was funny. I do not follow this channel. Convince me otherwise. Well, we're going to be going live whenever there is a Doug versus Daniel session, as they're playing a 3-bet pot on the left here. Going to expect a bet from Doug here most of the time. Pretty high frequency bet board for him. Yeah, we're going to go live every single time these guys play. There's no way to pull up these tables yourself unless you're in Nevada or New Jersey or Delaware. So it's tough to watch this match. So, hit the follow button, get notified whenever we go live. You'll know whenever we're playing. You can also keep track of who's winning with that link in the bottom left of the screen, upswingpoker.com/HU for grudge. Less than 1 pot size bet left here. Doug will likely be shoving if he does bet. Philmeister, do you believe Isildur beat Polk? I think he did. I think Isildur beat Doug for like $1 million in one session a long time ago. I think they had other sessions and Doug might have fought back a little bit, but it's tough to overcome $1 million loss. I think he is down overall to Isildur lifetime. Oof, ace high gonna win for Daniel. Doug's 5-7 giving up. Looks like he wants to give up there. You'd think with 7 high you have to go for it. It's, bottom of your range, that kind of thing. But he's likely going to choose his bluffs there a different way. He's probably going to opt to bluff when he has 1 heart, because having 1 heart in your hand blocks the possibility of flushes. Also having the 5 blocks some hands that Daniel might have that float the flop and call the turn that are definitely folding the river, something like King 5. Yeah, so he does not want to necessarily have that. Just speculating as to how he's choosing bluffs if he's giving up that one. Ace high, picking up another nice size pot on the left here. Daniel really cruising today. Next Poker Phenom 33. Today seems like every important pot goes to Daniel over and over again. That has definitely been the case. D-Neg's winning the battle, but still a lot of the war, says Krampus650. Definitely. After this session, we're probably going to be about a quarter of the way through the 12,500 minimum hand mark. Daniel with a straight going for the check raise on the left there. Doug's not biting. Mayon 33, I think you're kind of disrespecting Daniel by saying cruising. He's been running worse than Doug, but it's still up. The takes you find when you crowdsource information like this chat, they really are mind-blowing. Just if you win in a session, you're more than likely running better. I mean, maybe in certain ways Doug has ran better. I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but usually if you're up $250,000 in a session, you ran well. It doesn't mean he's not playing well, but you have to run well to win that much, just like you have to run well to win any session or run well to win any tournament. to win big at any session, I should say. Daniel double barreling on the left here. It's going to get through. Gustavins asked how many, approximately how many buy-ins or rather how many hands have been played. I would say 450, 500 or so. That's true. DNegs is running below EV in this challenge. Probably about, we'd have to see another calculation. Someone was nice enough to total it up on Twitter, Moonlighter. And I think he's going to be doing highlights too, by the way, for this challenge on his channel. So check him out. I'm not sure what his Twitter handle is, but it's like Moonlight or something. Yeah, he totaled up the all-in EV at one point, going into like the 2 sessions ago, I think. And Doug was running 180k above EV. It's not the only type of luck in poker, all-in EV, but that is a lot. 5 buy-ins is quite a bit in 3,000 hands or so. Well, that was at the around 2,000 hand mark. $250k is nothing in a heads-up match, says W. Jared. Daniel was down 250 and he came back. That is true. Doug was up. It's actually been a pretty swingy match in general. It really goes to show the variance in heads-up. We had Daniel take a big 110k lead after the live session. Then Doug roared back with a couple big wins, had about a $250,000 cushion at one point. And then in the last 2 or 3 sessions, it's totally swung back. And now we're looking at Daniel up a hefty, about 150k total, I would guess, on the challenge. It, still just 4 buy-ins, could easily swing in any session. Raise from Daniel here. Doug leading the turn after Daniel checked back the flop. Yeah, Doug folds. Who is the commentator? My name is Mike Brady. I'm the VP for Upswing Poker. I used to be a heads-up player myself. Back around 2015 is when I stopped playing. I was in Doug's stable briefly in around 2012. So I'm pretty familiar with how he approaches poker in general, though his game has changed a lot, especially in the last few months as he's been preparing for this challenge. Denny Evans, 23, what would be considered a big win? Subjective, but 5 buy-ins, that's a good win, I would say. So Daniel's certainly having like a very, very, very good session. Jumpman will be having any post-game interviews with Doug. Not today, but we might be doing some in the future. He hopped on for one a little while ago, talked about his thoughts on the match so far. But yeah, he's studying after the session, so I'm not really asking him to hop on the stream unless he wants to. C-bet from Doug on the right gets through. 4K pot on the left. Daniel checks over to Doug. Doug goes for about 66% pot. Doug's bluffing with the missed straight draw. Daniel looks him up with a 3, bottom pair. Nice call from Daniel. Jonas Steele for Meal says, before the challenge, Doug Polk was seen as the big favorite. Do you think this session has an influence on Polk's game? Those two things are kind of, I don't see how you're relating those two things exactly, but do I think this session has an influence on Doug's game? Not really. I mean, maybe there's like subconscious differences, like maybe he does feel some sort of tilt and he plays slightly different, but he's not, you said he's had a few more bluffs in the last, what did you say exactly? More bluffs the past hour. That's not really an indicator you want to look at. Like it's just in an hour of poker. I mean, we're talking on these tables about 200 hands. Sometimes there's going to be more bluffs. Sometimes there's going to be less bluffs as Doug's value bet gets called on the right with his top 2. Yeah, like it's just, you can't really make like big judgments based on like 100 or 200 hands or whatever. So it just because you saw Doug bluff a little bit more often in the last hour doesn't really mean he's actually playing differently. Could also just mean that he has rather had more hands to bluff with, as his value bet on the left gets called now. Yeah, so if he just has more bluffing hands, then he bluffs more. It's kind of just how it works. We also did see with something that would go against your thought. We did see Doug give up with a 7 high bluff in one spot where he might have some better hands to bluff with in terms of blockers, but it was like I believe the worst possible hand on the board, 7-5 high on like a 4-3-2 board, and he gave up with that one. So there's certainly no like I'm tilting, I'm gonna bluff more, because he didn't even bluff that. So I think that's a pretty good indicator that that's not happening. Daniel bets and gets called in right. They're doing some chat, as you can see, some ... WSOP.com does not have chat. If you say anything, it just ooh, nice call from Daniel with King High. If you type on WSOP, it comes up as ... no matter what. So it's possible that was Daniel kind of indicating that he's calling it a session. Maybe he's heading out. Let's see what happens here. Both sitting out now. Maybe both just taking a break. If they're both sitting out, I'm assuming that's the case. PI5 calling Sauce123 a PLO specialist. He was not a PLO specialist in 2014 or whatever, or 2013, whenever that challenge went down. Certainly not a PLO specialist, though he's a beast. Sauce is a beast. He's pretty much a specialist at anything he plays, which is kind of contradictory, but still. I did see someone ask earlier if there's going to be a Black Friday sale on Upswing this year. There is going to be a Black Friday sale, 25% off starting on Thanksgiving. That's American Thanksgiving, just in case you confused it with the Canadian Thanksgiving that already passed. So that's going to be the 26th is when it starts. And then it's going to go until Cyber Monday on the 30th. Everything 25% off. Every course, all the shirts, I believe, etc. Fee had to jump off. He had a hard stop at 5. We weren't sure this session was going to go long, and it did. Looks like DNegs is sitting out. All right, guys, so that's going to be the session. Looks like Daniel won really hefty amount, probably about 6 buy-ins. Yeah, so that's going to bring Daniel into about almost a 200K lead overall on the challenge. Big swings in the last 2 sessions. Really in the last like 7 sessions. If you want an update on what's happened, like a quick recap of each day, go to that link on the bottom left of your screen, upswingpoker.com/HU for Grudge. That has a recap of all the challenges. We'll also update that page with the results of this session once we have the exact totals, because we're just estimating there in the middle. Yes, we do have the recorded sessions. If you want to watch any of these sessions, they're linked on that page, HU for Grudge. Go to that page. They're all linked. The next session is going to be Friday at 2:30, I believe. I did hear rumors they were going to play tomorrow, but I don't think that's true. I think it's just Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pretty much all the time. So yeah, I would expect another session at 2:30 on Friday. We will be back here live on the Upswing Twitch channel and Doug's YouTube channel. We'll be happy to see you either way. We really appreciate you guys tuning in today. And yeah,